All right, what's going on, everybody? This is LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. Thank you for joining us for another program. This is Thursday, July 25th, and we are here in the house broadcasting on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope Live. So what's up to everybody out there? How you feeling tonight, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, man.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by the news. I'm exhausted.
I'm always exhausted by the news. That's a gimme.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I say I'm feeling good, I'm just talking about like,
Yeah.
I'm
Internally.
I'm feeling internally good. Like I'm.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a given, man. You're always gonna be exhausted by the news, 24/7 news cycle.
Yep. That's where I'm at.
But it's more. It's not just being exhausted by the news. It's being exhausted at what prompts the news, more or less what drives the news. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't have to be like that.
It shouldn't be like that.
You know what I'm saying? And most of what is exhausting is what some of our representatives and those who lead the country kind of prompt the news to cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I agree. So yeah, we definitely have a full plate that we have to get to tonight. Of course, we're going to start with the Mueller hearings. There were two hearings with the special counsel, or say the former special counsel, Robert Mueller. Had some hearings in Congress before the Oversight Committee and the House Intelligence Committee.
So yeah, there was like two separate ones.
Two separate committees.
I think most of the attention was on the first one.
Yeah. What else do we have?
Got some Ilhan Omar.
Yes, we have some
/
more.
Rubio.
Yes, Rubio and Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is again painted as a racist. We'll see if that's accurate or not.
This time,
We'll see if that's accurate.
the claim is towards another group, not Jews.
Coincidentally.
Yeah.
What else do we have? DOJ made some news early today about the federal death penalty. Definitely have to talk about that. Yeah, like I said, we have a lot to talk about. Tulsi Gabbard, Kamala Harris, little dust up. I can't really say it's a dust up between the two. It was just kind of like an attack that was leveled on Kamala Harris.
Kind of like like weird. It seemed very spontaneous.
It kind of it did.
Seems spontaneous, but maybe not. Either way, it's kind of weird, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
So, like I said, first we're gonna deal with the Mueller hearing. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel on YouTube, please do so if you are watching on YouTube. And please do hit that bell as well. If you do, you'll be able to get the newest from LTMB right when it drops. So, we do have some people watching. I'm sure some more will join us along the way. All right, so on Wednesday morning, or let's just say on Wednesday, former special counsel Robert Mueller, the one that was tasked with running the Mueller, not the Mueller investigation, but running the investigation on collusion between the Trump administration and Russia, or any possible collusion with the campaign in Russia. He testified before two different House committees, the House Oversight Committee and the House Intelligence Committee. This, of course, is weeks after the full Mueller report was, given to the AG, William Barr, and then that a summary of that was, released so that people could see the findings. After that, of course, there was a call for the full Mueller report to be released. And Mueller himself even did can't really call it it was a press conference, but without questions, in which he kind of just talked about what the report detailed. Didn't take any questions. Said that he did not want to testify before Congress because nothing was going to be unearthed. Nothing new was going to be unearthed. Like, his words spoke for themselves. He chose his words carefully. Nothing else was going to emerge. So we came to this day on, like I said, Wednesday, and he does testify. So we have some clips that we want to show you. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird setting this up because
Well, why is it weird? Why do you think it's weird trying to set it up?
because well, one the Democratic Party, of course. Well, I can't even say just the Democratic representatives. Both sides they were looking at his words, no doubt, and they were quoting his words verbatim. Okay, here, volume 2, section this, whatever. They were quoting his words the whole time, and the Democratic Party, the Democratic representatives, I guess, wanted to just reaffirm what Mueller had already stated
in the report. Yeah,
while the Republicans
were trying to
do something else.
They were trying to do something else. They were trying to introduce side narratives and not really ask questions based on what's in the report. And any questions that they did ask that were based on the report and that was in the report was only used as a jump off point to introduce conspiracy theories or to try to do what you would call investigate the investigators. Right. So there was really not much, not many questions the Republicans issued towards Mueller that I guess would indicate that they wanted to get more information and more clarity from what was uncovered in that investigation, which was a treasure trove of things.
Yeah, that was not
so
the purpose.
It seems like their purpose was to just throw dirt on it and not to get clarification or to kind of, I guess, open the door for more information.
Yeah, deflection. It was a lot of deflection.
It was a lot of deflection. I'm like, so like, it was just weird. And I think one thing people expected for some reason was there to be like I don't know, Mueller to walk up in there on fire or something. Like he was gonna like come in there with a flamethrower, and I don't know why people were expecting that. Like they were just going to be like, he was gonna like be a very, very opinionated, which essentially, I wouldn't say he's not allowed to be, but that wouldn't be customarily professional, because he doesn't. Throughout this whole testimony, he looked like he was not trying to be biased.
Right.
At all. He didn't even want to use the word impeachment. He didn't even want to say that Trump wasn't reliable. He didn't want to use anything that would give the indication that he was biased. So I don't know why people expected him to come in there like throwing flames or whatnot. Maybe that's
or something new.
Something new. Maybe people are so kind of invested in politics and the entertainment that comes with it. You know, maybe that's why. Because a lot of people were saying it was boring, and I'm like, well, that's a problem with how you view how politics should play out. Like it should be entertaining. You know what I'm saying? And it really wasn't entertaining. It was just you watch it based on what it is and watch it for what it is. And he came there to just reaffirm what he wrote most of the time. He didn't like add anything new. Now there was a few things that he added, but most of it was in the report.
So we're going to get to some of these clips now. So the first clip we want to show you is Democratic Representative Cedric Richmond from Louisiana asking Robert Mueller about former White House counsel Don McGann. In the report, it detailed how McGann was asked or directed by President Trump to fire Robert Mueller, and how I guess Trump wanted Don McGann to lie about that, and Don McGann did not want to do that, and you know he would instead prefer to leave.
Didn't want to sacrifice his career,
yes,
to try to cover up for Donald Trump, or to do something on Donald Trump's behalf, which is how Donald Trump operates. He doesn't do things himself. That's how like a mob boss operates. Yeah. He doesn't do things himself, so it doesn't get back to him. So he tries to employ people around him to kind of create chaos.
All right, so here's the clip.
The president's counsel was so alarmed by the prospect of the president's meeting with McGann that he called Mr. McGann's counsel and said that McGann could not resign no matter what happened in the Oval Office that day, correct?
Correct.
So it's accurate to say that the president knew that he was asking McGann to deny facts that McGann, quote, had repeatedly said were accurate, unquote. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Your investigation also found, quote, by the time of the Oval Office meeting with the president, the president was aware, 1, that McGann did not think the story was false, 2, did not want to issue a statement or create a written record denying facts that McGann believed to be true, the president nevertheless persisted and asked McGann to repudiate facts that McGann had repeatedly said were accurate. Isn't that correct?
Generally true.
I believe that's on page 119. Thank you.
So again, these questions came directly from the report, and they were just trying to get Mueller to kind of give rhetorical life to what was in the report. That's the reason why he was there. And then probably another prime reason why he was there is because Donald Trump himself and William Barr, his AG, was trying to characterize the report in a way that was inaccurate. So they gave rise to, in my opinion, they gave rise to why this hearing had to happen.
I agree. Like you said, I think this was just Mueller putting a face on his actual report. A lot of people did not read the report. A lot of regular people did not read the report.
And based on some of the questions I heard from Republicans, they didn't read the report because the answers or the questions they asked, Mueller, and the answers they wanted to get from him were right in the report. And some of the conspiracy theories that they were throwing out as a way to kind of throw dirt on the report, the answers were in the report. Like, the Nunez, they all did it, but Nunez specifically did it when he was asking about Papadopoulos and wondering why Mueller would target Papadopoulos, because, he was just a coffee boy for Donald Trump, and he didn't understand how Papadopoulos got caught in this. Papadopoulos was kind of just an innocent player in all this, according to Nunez. And there was another player in all this that Mueller let get away. I think it's like Musfet or something. Apparently Mueller let this guy get away, and that's suspicious. And why would you focus on someone in Trump's administration and not let this other guy get away? And I don't know if Nunez was being disingenuous. Most likely he was, or he just didn't read the report. If he read the report, it clearly stated that Papadopoulos was being dishonest, and his lies led to a lot of individuals either getting away or not being questioned because of his lies. So it's like, that was one example where Republicans were asking questions even though the answers were right in the report. And I think that was done in order to kind of dismiss any findings and obscure details that were actually in the report for Donald Trump supporters and Republicans that are supporting Donald Trump.
So we're going to get to some of the, some of the interactions with Mueller and some of the Republicans that were on these committees as well. First clip is going to be with Representative Ken Buck, who's a Republican representative from Colorado. We can just show it and then we'll come back and talk about it.
By listing the 10 factual situations and not reaching a conclusion about the merits of the case, you unfairly shifted the burden of proof to the president, forcing him to prove his innocence while denying him a legal forum to do so. And I've never heard of a prosecutor declining a case and then holding a press conference to talk about the defendant. Was there sufficient evidence to convict President Trump or anyone else with obstruction of justice?
We did not make that calculation.
How could you not have made the calculation with the regulation?
The OLC opinion, Office of Legal Counsel, indicates that we cannot indict a sitting president. So one of the tools that a prosecutor would use is not there.
Okay, but let me just stop. You made the decision on the Russian interference. You couldn't have indicted the president on that, and you made the decision on that. But when it came to obstruction, you threw a bunch of stuff up against the wall to see what would stick. Well, and that is fundamentally unfair.
I would not agree to that characterization at all. What we did is provide to the Attorney General in the form of a confidential memorandum our understanding of the case. Those cases that were brought, those cases were declined, and that one case where the president cannot be charged with a crime.
Okay, but could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
I think maybe some people may have misinterpreted some of those answers that Mueller was given. I don't necessarily think that Mueller was saying, hey, with what we have now, we can prosecute the president after he leaves office. I think that was theoretical. If we wanted to prosecute the president after he left office, we could. That's not saying he would prosecute the president or the DOJ. But anyway, that's not even what, like, that's Mueller didn't even have the authority to do that anyway.
Right. No, because of the Office of Legal Counsel.
Yeah, the OLC.
Right now, you can't indict a sitting president. This particular representative, though, Buck, it seems as though he's more concerned with it. This whole scenario being unfair to President Trump because Robert Mueller produced this document, this report, and has these findings, these 10 possible instances of obstruction of justice, but Trump doesn't have, I guess, the ability. He doesn't have any ability to, I guess, profess his innocence, even though he does. Even though he has a giant microphone and he can do that anytime he wants to, and he has been doing that all the while Mueller has been investigating, and afterwards too. But I don't think, I don't think he understands that this report it wasn't a report given to the American people. It wasn't a report for the American people, even though, of course, the American people definitely wanted to see it, definitely wanted to see what the report entailed. But the report was actually going to the Attorney General. The Attorney General was the one that was going to be tasked with even hiring Mueller. Now, we know that Sessions recused himself, so he didn't have the opportunity to do that. But Rod Rosenstein did, the Deputy Attorney General. So this is all, I guess, just usual circumstances. And the report was going to go to the AG, which it did. Now, the AG then came out with a summary that, like you said earlier, did not really reflect what the Mueller report in its entirety contained. So that's why after that, Mueller did have a press conference and detailed some of the findings, some of his findings. Didn't take any questions, didn't offer any opinions or anything like that. Just what we learned throughout the course of the investigation, and here it is, there it is, right? So now he's here. And again, Ken Buck has a problem with this whole scenario being unfair to Trump because what? I mean, that's what an investigation is. He had to detail his findings and then give them to the Attorney General. And that's exactly what he did.
It's unfair to Trump because there was some information that came forth based on the investigation that, I guess, paints Trump in a bad light. That's why it's unfair. Yeah. And like you said, Trump and his sycophants, those supporting him, and Republican representatives have been on full-time. They've been full-time defending him. And like you said, Trump has been doing that through his Twitter account and through the media and through Fox News for 2 years. Yeah. So to say that he doesn't have the ability to defend himself, number one, is false, and it's legally false too. Because at the beginning of the hearing, Robert Mueller made it clear that we would not even speculate upon guilt or innocence. But, guilt. Not particularly innocent. Not particularly innocence. But they would not speculate upon guilt, even if the findings illustrated so. And at the beginning, like I said, of his testimony, he said that would be unfair to one indicted sitting president because he would not have the adequate ability to defend himself and run the country. And even if he didn't get indicted, they wouldn't even broach the term guilt or indictment because that wouldn't be fair. They wouldn't officially broach it. And so I don't understand how this Republican representative could say that Mueller was being unfair, even though he approached it knowing the OLC's guidelines said, hey, it wouldn't be fair if you officially went about an indictment or officially said someone was guilty, because then you were putting a president who can't defend himself on the defensive. And
he added that it was unfair towards the end of that clip. He added that it was unfair because Mueller, I guess, came to a decision that there wasn't enough there to prosecute on the issue of Russian interference.
That's a different story, though.
Yes. But he said that he did not come to a determination on the obstruction of justice. Now, Mueller did outline possible cases of obstruction of justice. To say that Trump could not be exonerated, right? but to lay out all of this information that does detail instances of obstruction of justice. A lot of them just clear evidence, and it wasn't that Mueller had to go digging. No, it was right there for everybody to see. It's kind of like saying, I can't go but so far, but here it is. I can't just say that, Trump is not guilty, but I also can't say that he is guilty. I'm precluded from saying that.
But this Republican representative would be fine if Mueller said he's innocent.
Oh, you would be. Of course he would be fine.
If that is the conclusion that Mueller actually reached, he would be fine with that. So he'd be fine with making the conclusion that completely exonerates the president, but he's not fine with Mueller not reaching a definitive conclusion and just clearing Trump completely. And he's conflating two different issues, right? Because he's talking about the Russian interference. This is a multi-level investigation. When you talk about Russian interference, you're talking about entities outside the United States, right? Those individuals, we don't care about those individuals as far as being fair to them and being given a chance to defend themselves. Those are two separate things. So I don't know why he's comparing those two things as if they're the same. Why did you come to a conclusion on this issue? Because I was why? Again, this is another case where a Republican is asking questions, and he should already know the answer to.
He should. All right, let's get to the next clip. This is with Representative Jim Sensenbrenner, who he was angry too. A lot of these Republicans, they really wanted to hit Mueller and I guess paint him as somebody that was biased and somebody that really wasn't doing the right thing. So here's the clip. We'll come back.
Since you decided under the OLC opinion that you couldn't prosecute a sitting president, meaning President Trump, why did we have all of this investigation of President Trump that the other side is talking about when you knew that you weren't going to prosecute him?
Well, you don't know where the investigation is going to lie, and the OLC opinion itself says that you can continue the investigation even though you are not going to indict the president. Okay, well, if you're not going to indict the president, then you just continue fishing, and that's my observation. Sure you. My time is limited. Sure, you can indict other people, but you can't indict the sitting president, right? That's true. Okay.
Yo, this is telling.
Telling, I don't know if that's the correct word, but yeah, go though.
He describes this as like a fishing expedition. You know that you couldn't indict the sitting president of the United States, so why did you continue your investigation? First of all, the premise is totally wrong, because was Donald Trump under investigation, or was he part of an investigation? It wasn't that it was U.S. versus Donald Trump. No, Trump had something to do with it, of course. There were multiple members of Donald Trump's organization, his campaign team, that were under investigation because it dealt with the campaign. Donald Trump was part of the campaign, of course. So definitely he had to be investigated as well.
So so what you're saying is Donald Trump has some connection to the investigation. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. But since there is indirect connections that Donald Trump has with individuals, a lot of individuals who are named in the investigation, by default, the logical consequence is to have focus on him.
As well. And not just him, not just Donald Trump, but him as well. But he's saying that, Sensenbrenner is saying that since you already knew going in that there's a document that says that you're precluded from indicting the sitting U.S. president. If you knew that to be true, why investigate him in the first place?
So what Sensenbrenner is suggesting is that potential crimes and wrongdoing can't be investigated simply because the sitting president can't be indicted.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right. Is that really a sensible position to take? No. Hey. Since OLC guidelines say you can't indict a sitting president, that means even if there's evidence of wrongdoing with the president or anyone connected to him, you can't do it because he can't be officially indicted.
He's acting as if he is a king. He's acting as if Donald Trump is a king or a dictator, something like that. He's acting like there's no kind of system that has a separation of powers in place. Because though we know that there's a rule, there's a document stating that you can't indict a sitting president, we know that Congress has the ability to remove a president, though. So if you think that it's possible, it's at least possible that Donald Trump was involved in something nefarious, you have to investigate, even though you know there's a limit to what you can do. But there's not a limit to what Congress can do in this forum. Congress could vote to remove a president that has committed some crimes. So, Sensenbrenner doesn't know that?
No, he knows that. And there were questions that were issued by Democrats that were an attempt to get Mueller to illustrate that process. But again, Mueller, very keen on legal procedure and very deliberate in making sure he doesn't seem like he's partial, didn't even want to use the word impeachment.
Mm-hmm. He did it.
What he did was he did it very passively, because I can't remember who was questioning him, but I wish I could remember who was questioning him. But the questionnaire asked, so what's the process, Mr. Mueller? What's the process that we have in place after such an investigation takes place and there is an indication of some sort of wrongdoing? What's the process? And Mueller was like, I believe you had it up on the screen there. And it was like the impeachment process, because he wanted to come there and not act as if he was like, I don't know, trying to throw gasoline on the fire and try to make it like he was taking sides. Like, y'all know, I cannot have an opinion on this. I'm just gathering the facts. I can't have an opinion because that's what it's going to make it look like. Even though it would be true, that's the process that we have in place to hold a president accountable, the impeachment process. I can't say that because it's going to look like I'm trying to bring that about, and it's going to look very biased. So he didn't want to use the word, but he did, in response to the question, say it's right up on the screen, because they had actually a screen. If you weren't watching, they had a screen to give as a guide when they were highlighting portions of the report and other documents, like an impeachment document or impeachment clause in Article 2.
There are a lot of visual aids that the representatives were using. All right, so the next clip that we're going to show is from Representative Michael Turner, who's a Republican from Ohio. And Representative Turner had a problem with the word exonerate, and he explains why.
Does the Attorney General have the power or authority to exonerate? Now, what I'm putting up here is the United States Code. This is where the Attorney General gets his power, and the Constitution, and the annotated cases of these, which we've searched. We even went to your law school, because I went to Case Western, but I thought maybe your law school teaches it differently. And we got the criminal law textbook from your law school. Mr. Mueller, nowhere in these, because we had them scanned, is there a process or description on exonerate. There's no office of exoneration at the Attorney General's office. There's no certificate at the bottom of his desk. Mr. Mueller, would you agree with me that the Attorney General does not have the power to exonerate?
I'm going to pass on that.
Why?
Because it embroils us in a legal discussion, and I'm not prepared to do a legal discussion in that arena.
Well, Mr. Mueller, you would not disagree with me when I say that there is no place that the Attorney General has the power to exonerate, and he's not been given that authority. You would not.
Again, I'm not going to. I take your question.
Now, this is my concern, Mr. Mueller. This is the headline on all of the news channels while you were testifying today. Mueller, Trump was not exonerated. Now, Mr. Mueller, what you know is that this can't say Mueller exonerated Trump, because you don't have the power or authority to exonerate Trump. You have no more power to declare him exonerated than you have the power to declare him Anderson Cooper. So the problem that I have here is that since there's no one in the criminal justice system that has that power, the president pardons, he doesn't exonerate. Courts and juries don't declare innocent, they declare not guilty. They don't even declare exoneration. The statement about exoneration is misleading, and it's meaningless, and it colors this investigation one word out of the entire portion of your report, and it's a meaningless word that has no legal meaning, and it has colored your entire report.
The gentleman is.
That was cute, man. That was cute. That was actually, I'll say it was an interesting tactic because what Representative Turner was saying was technically right. It was technically factual. There is no legal process of exonerating anybody.
So he's not supposed to use the word exonerate ever
because
there is no department of exoneration. So you can't use that word. It's misleading.
Yes.
You don't have the power to exonerate. But again,
he didn't say that he did.
He never said that he did. And like he's purposefully using the word exonerate in a different context. Like it's in a legal context. In a legal context. Like Mueller has the official capacity to, I guess, exonerate anyone, whether it be Trump or anyone else under investigation, exonerate somebody in a way that dismisses any kind of wrongdoing. Like I have the power, or Mueller has the power to kind of squash a case. Hey, he's been exonerated, so legally you cannot pursue this matter anymore. That's not what exonerated means in the case.
In the legal sense.
Didn't mean it in that legal sense.
He's acting like he's never heard of investigations before. When when there are police investigations, there are sometimes many suspects. There are sometimes many people that they're taking a look at in the course of an investigation. Mm-hmm. And throughout the course of an investigation, they will rule out somebody and be like, you know what? We've attained some information and we don't think that person has anything to do with it because of what we have learned. District attorneys can do the same exact thing. That is exoneration. That is ruling somebody out. And that's exactly what Mueller was talking about, saying that he could not exonerate Donald Trump. Not in a legal sense, not saying that, like you said, put a stamp on it, he cannot be exonerated, so...
You cannot pursue this person anymore. He's been legally cleared.
Or if you're saying that he was exonerated, like that's ending all kind of conversation, all kind of actions. Yes, there's no legal process like that. He is definitely right, but that's not what Mueller was talking about.
He was just saying, there's enough there that shows that I can't clear the president. There's enough activity, enough behaviors that I can point to that doesn't clear the president of any wrongdoing. A lot of that is based on the answers that he gave on his little take-home test.
Yes, and the lies as well.
And the, I guess, Trump and his administration's, I guess, not wanting to do an interview.
Yep.
And avoiding that. Mm-hmm. And I think Mueller's, I guess, explanation for why they did not subpoena Trump is because they knew they would just get bogged down in paperwork.
It would delay everything.
It would delay, and he would just have the same non-answers anyway.
Well, he said that an in-person interview definitely would have been better.
Yeah.
Because the paper interview, the paper questions that were filled out by Donald Trump were ineffective because, like he said, and like many people have said, they contained a lot of lies, a lot of mistruths. So. Like I said, it was an interesting tactic by Turner. It was very interesting.
I just think it's very interesting that if you read the report and kind of read the details as to members of Trump's campaign and their interaction with certain individuals, meeting with certain individuals, or whether it be foreign or non-foreign, or activities that Trump had members of his administration and his aides carry out on his behalf. If you read it, then you'll see that this report is very damning. And that's just surprising that Republicans never ask questions based on corroborated evidence and corroborated documents that detailed what Trump was trying to do and what he instructed members of his campaign staff and his White House staff to do on his behalf. Not a lot of questions in that direction. These things were laid out. Like these are facts. It's just like the situation with the former press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You know what else was in that report? That Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied about support that Trump had within the FBI.
Yep. That is correct.
That's actually in the report too, and she had to Well, I wouldn't say she had to retract that statement. She was asked about that statement during a press conference and why she lied about the temperament and the temperature or whatever that within the FBI, why she lied about that.
Right.
But in the report, she admits she lied.
Yup.
That's Donald Trump's press secretary. Now, why would Donald Trump's press secretary lie about the goings-on in the FBI? Why would she do that? That should be a question. And again, that's in the report, and this is that's something that she actually admitted to. She admitted to lying about that. She admitted to misleading the public on what was going on in FBI. She admitted to lying about messages she was receiving from FBI agents. She lied about that. That is in the report, and she admits to lying about that. So why would she do that on behalf of Donald Trump? Like, that's not suspicious to anybody?
Yeah, not suspicious at all, man. Look, that's all the clips that we have for you regarding this this hearing, or the multiple hearings that there were on Thursday or on Wednesday. The effects of this hearing are unclear at the moment. For me, it's unclear. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think this put a face on the words of Robert Mueller and, you know, that investigation. I believe that there are many, many citizens in the country, many, many people in the country that have not read the report. So the instances of corruption, or well, the instances of obstruction of justice, you know, they probably, of course, heard second or third hand, didn't really get all the details about it. So if they did even watch the, you know, these hearings, which in total, I think it amounted to, what, about 6 hours of testimony, something like that?
Yeah, because it was like two different, first was like, it was basically like 3 hours each, 3 hours apiece.
So if they did watch, then, you know, maybe it's possible that they did get an education. It was like, okay, well, there are multiple instances of obstruction of justice. Trump is definitely guilty of that. Maybe that's possible. For the people that have already been privy to this information, I don't think this achieved much. The only way I think, like, you know, Democrats came out looking even a little bit good is because the Republicans looked so bad trying to deflect and excuse Donald Trump of his obvious guilt. That's that's my only takeaway. It didn't really achieve much. I don't think this achieved much in the way of, or in the way of, well, not in the way, but when you're talking about impeachment proceedings beginning, I don't think it did anything to add to that conversation.
No, I don't think it did either.
So, like I said, it's unclear what the effects are. Like I said, this was just more like a show of what the words were, rather than you getting to read it. It was more of a show.
And I believe that this hearing had to happen because I don't think people understand how comprehensive the investigation was. It's not as comprehensive as I wanted it to be, but it was comprehensive. It wasn't just about like, Russian election interference.
Right.
It was about a lot of things because like I said, there was two parts to this, and one part of it, they got into actual possible business deals.
Oh, they do. Yes.
That Trump has.
And he was talking about possible deals with Russia.
Deals with Russia, showing that there was some lying going on within the media. And a lot of what the report detailed was information that was readily available. So it was almost chronicling things that we should already know and piecing things together. Like certain things Donald Trump Jr. and Donald Trump said in the media that ended up being lies.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah. Now, Trump, though, of course, Trump had a response to this, and we can show you part of his response. Of course, Trump did tweet quite a bit about this.
Quite a bit. He was the tweeter-in-chief yesterday. He was going off. Like, his Twitter meltdown, it was like... It's like watching R. Kelly's interview with Gayle King. That's the kind of meltdown it was.
It was. And he tweeted a bunch of different videos, of course, of the different representatives, Republican representatives, that were trying to deflect and defend Donald Trump. So he would tweet a video of them talking. And this was, most of these videos were after the hearings took place. And he would include the message like, thank you, Jim. What's
Jordan.
Jim Jordan. He was like, yeah, thank you, Jim Jordan, or thank you, Ken Buck. Thank you, whatever. All these different representatives that, like I said, wanted to speak up for Trump and protect Trump and defend Trump. It's really embarrassing to me. But but anyway, but yeah, let's show you a clip of how Trump responded to this.
The performance was obviously not very good. He had a lot of problems. But what he showed more than anything else is that this whole thing has been 3 years of embarrassment and waste of time for our country. And you know what? The Democrats thought they could win an election like this. I think they hurt themselves very badly for 2020.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
I really don't understand it either, because I'm just tired of going over it, because during the hearing, Robert Mueller was asked, was this whole thing a hoax? Was it based on nothing? And he's like, no. He's like, pretty much like, dude, if you read the damn report, it's like there's a lot of things in there. And I'm like, it's not a witch hunt. And I'm like, I got some convictions out of this.
Yes.
And it's not like these convictions and these plea deals were away from Trump. These were individuals directly tied to Trump's campaign. It's not like these indictments were just random people not connected to Trump. You see what I'm saying?
But look at Trump. But if you heard Trump's words, he put it on the Democrats. That's what I don't understand. He said this was a bad look for the Democrats and it hurt them for 2020. The Democratic Party did not go after.
What is Robert Mueller?
President.
I'm sorry. Not what is Robert Mueller. That's really an incomplete, undefined question. What is Robert Mueller in regards to party affiliation?
Republican.
Okay. What is the director of the FBI in regard to Christopher Wray? What is he in regard to party affiliation?
Same. Republican.
What is Rosenstein, Rod Rosenstein?
Of course. He's
in regard to
well.
Party affiliation.
Of course. Same thing.
He's the same thing.
So that's why I don't understand how anybody, and this is something that has been said many times over. And people want to really put the blame on the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is the one that furthered this whole investigation, made it possible. The Democratic Party had no ability to start the investigation, to do the investigation, to finish the investigation, to produce a report. They had no ability to do any of this, but it's the Democratic Party that's going to suffer because of it. Again, this was a process that was initiated in the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice of the Trump administration.
Interesting. Who was working tangentially with the FBI.
It's ridiculous, man.
The FBI with the director who was appointed by who?
Trump, the Republican.
Interesting. Also, the kind of the side intelligence investigation that is still going on. We don't have a report on that. There's a lot of things that Mueller could not talk about because of that. There's an ongoing intelligence report still being gathered. It's being put together and gathered by various State departments, CIA being one of them. The department that is led by or run by a Trump appointee, Mike Pompeo, is leading that as well. So you have someone else who is leading this Senate or this intelligence investigation in regard to this Russian interference. Again, this is not us saying this. This is people that Trump appointed, members of his own party, people that he appointed to his cabinet. This is not us saying this stuff.
Now, because of this, because of these hearings and with Robert Mueller did not answer a lot of questions, and a lot of people took notice to that. There were some lines that he used. You heard one of them at the end of the last, not the Trump video, but at the end of the video with Michael Turner, and he said, "I take your question." So there's a lot of people on Twitter now, social media, that's like, man, that's my new catchphrase. I'm gonna say that every single time I don't want to answer a question or something like that. But like I said, it wasn't like a smooth, like you said, it was pretty boring, and it wasn't like Mueller. I mean, the Mueller investigation again took like over 2 years. So there were a lot of different aspects to it. The actual final report was very wide. It was thick. It was a full report. So when you're asking him about many different areas of the report, of course he's going to have to turn his direction or, to the actual report, flip some pages.
It's over 400 pages.
Exactly. So it wasn't like a smooth process. Sometimes he did have to, delay it a little bit. Like, okay, hold on. Ask that question again. Let me find this. I can't find it. Yeah, okay. Well, if it's in my report, yeah, that is good. But anyway, there were a lot of questions that Mueller didn't, he didn't. He would say, yeah, I take your question. I can't speak to that. I'm not going to get into that. Gets into the... I guess the dealings between him and the Department of Justice too, stuff like that.
A lot of the questions he probably couldn't. No, this is not probably. This is definitely a lot of the questions he couldn't answer because of ongoing proceedings, and that's
like
one,
Roger Stone too.
Roger Stone
answer questions,
and that's one thing that I don't understand, like why people don't get, like saying that this whole thing is over, knowing that there are ongoing proceedings that are linked to this report. And so that's why most people's commentary surrounding this whole hearing and this investigation in general is very disingenuous. They know there's other proceedings going on. There was also a question about, I think it was Manafort, where I think a Republican asked him a question about some polling data that Manafort was sharing with some Russian associate, Kilimnik or whatever. Apparently, in the redacted version of his report, now Mueller didn't redact this. It was William Barr who redacted this information. Information surrounding who directed Manafort to give this polling data to Kilimnik. That was redacted. Now, why would William Barr redact that information? Mueller could not disclose to this questioner who directed Manafort to give this polling data to this Russian associate. He could not answer that question because William Barr redacted it. Now, why would William Barr redact such important information like that?
That would tie him to, that would tie Manafort to...
Well, Manafort's already directly tied to the campaign already,
but not the particular crimes that he was.
Yeah, so why would William Barr redact that part of the report if it's not an ongoing matter? If it's not an ongoing matter as far as a proceeding that's currently going on or it's in the works right now, why would William Barr redact that information to where not Manafort, but Mueller couldn't give the answer to that?
Right.
Who directed Manafort to give polling data to a Russian associate?
So Mueller, throughout this testimony too, had stated at least a few different times, several times, that the Russian interference is real. It's ongoing. At one point, I believe he said that it's happening right now. It's a serious threat. Something needs to be done about it, this and that. So that kind of leads us to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. On Thursday, Senator McConnell blocked two separate election security bills, claiming that the bills were partisan legislation. So one bill required the use of paper ballots, providing funding for the supposedly nonpartisan Election Assistance Commission. And this is a commission that it deals with certain election thing, like certifying voting equipment. I believe producing the mail-in ballot. So it's different things that they're required to do. But he shot that down. He objected to that one. Another one that he objected to was, let me give you a little bit more information about the first one. The first one, it passed the House with a vote of 225 to 184. And there was one Republican that voted for it. So I guess because of those optics, because it was largely voted on by Democrats, I guess he's using that information to say that it was very partisan. And so he stated, clearly this request is not a serious effort to make a law. Clearly something so partisan that it only received one single solitary Republican vote in the House is not going to travel through the Senate by unanimous consent. Now, again, the issue of this is providing funds for the Election Assistance Commission and requiring paper ballots. Now, I don't understand how that could be partisan.
He's purposefully distorting the term partisan. Partisan is not in regard to how each party voted on a particular issue and how many people in each party voted. Even if the vote was along party lines, that doesn't mean
the issue
the vote
partisan.
is partisan. Doesn't mean the issue is partisan. That just means that that was like how the vote went.
Yes.
So he's purposely distorting the use, the word.
So paper ballots are only good for Democrats.
Again, like,
why would that be?
Why would that be? Again, like, and this is one of those cases where when you try to defend the indefensible, you end up suggesting something about yourself. In this case, something about his party and what his party is scared of. Now, why would you be scared of a proposal that is supposed to secure elections? Why would you be afraid of that? Again, this doesn't have anything, well, I wouldn't say anything, but this is not about, like, in this case, this is not about, like, Russians or something.
No, not in this particular case.
Not in this particular case.
It is about securing our elections.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would agree that having paper ballots is a more, I guess, a process that you can trust more so than voting machines. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But he shot that down. The second one that he shot down, it required candidates, campaign members, and family members to alert the FBI if offered assistance by a foreign government.
That seems like a no-brainer to me. That seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, oh yeah, true that. We don't want kind of foreign governments influencing our politics no more than we don't want corporations influencing our politics, which we have a problem now with now. So,
but think about the conversation that we are currently having. We were talking about Russia earlier. We were talking about Mueller being in, on Capitol Hill in front of 2 different committees, talking about Russia, talking about the Russian investigation. And here is Senate Majority Leader saying that, that bill is going to say that politicians, candidates, their family members, campaign staff, everybody, if you receive an offer from a foreign actor, you are to alert the FBI.
But see,
that a problem with that?
But that's something that is already solidified within campaign finance rules already, right?
It is.
And it's, again, it was about foreign help, receiving foreign help, not Russian help. So this part is not like part of the proposal had nothing to do with Russia in particular, but foreign help in general.
And I'm glad you said that about this is already written into, like, FCC law.
Yes, sir.
FEC rules. Because McConnell has said many times before that elections should be controlled by the states, not federal authorities. And he also said that Congress has already addressed this concern. He's already addressed election security concerns that arose from this past 2016 election. Now, I kind of want to compare that to something, because earlier this year, I believe it was in February of this year, we talked about infanticide. We talked about infanticide earlier this year. And you remember that stemmed from the bill that was being put forth in the Virginia legislature. And it didn't even have to do with infanticide. All right. But Republicans made it about that because of a certain question. And they were saying, hey, does this allow for late term abortion? And does this allow for this and that? And Republicans were aghast at the possibility. Right. And so they made it as though the Democratic Party was actually supportive of infanticide. So they drafted a bill. Right. And actually, it was a resolution that they drafted. And it failed to pass the Senate. And it needed 60 votes to pass, and a lot of Democratic politicians did not vote for it. And they cast the Democrats, these Democratic senators, as inhumane, as people that did not care about human life, this, that, and the other. And since we're talking about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he had a comment back then. He said, quote, "It isn't about new restrictions on abortion. It isn't about changing the options available to women. It's just about recognizing that a newborn baby is a newborn baby, period," end quote. Now, there were multiple Democratic senators that came forward back then, just a few months ago, that said this resolution is unnecessary because there's already something on the books. There's already legislation on the books. The Born Alive Infants Protection Act of 2002. It's already on the books, and it already says something about infanticide. So why do we need new legislation on the matter? But the Republicans didn't seem to understand that. But now we're talking about election security, and it's not even focused on Trump. Like, Trump's name isn't even on the legislation. Nope. It's not condemning Trump. It's not condemning his 2016 campaign. None of that. It's just to ensure that going forward, that we can ensure the security and the integrity of our elections.
And one way we can do that is to prevent individuals who are receiving assistance from foreign governments from either running or deterring them from running, or I guess holding them accountable in a more severe way than the FCC.
Yep.
FEC. So I think maybe McConnell is trying to avoid that. You know what I'm saying? McConnell might be trying to avoid that level of accountability. I don't see why something like that. I don't know. I think I don't know why something like that kind of causes people to distance themselves from the conversation. This is a conversation that's kind of obviously relevant, especially if you care about, you know, corporate money and politics. You know what I'm saying? And our representatives being influenced by that. Because what if maybe a foreign government or a foreign entity, let's say, invest money into a company with, like, let's say Kentucky, Mitch McConnell's state.
Right.
Like, invest money into a company, aluminum company, let's say, invest money into an aluminum company into his state. You don't think that it's going to influence his legislation, the decisions he makes, if maybe we end up in some kind of situation with that country? You don't think he'd be influenced in any way? This country has invested money into companies that have come to his state, the state that he represents, and he has to make a decision. You don't think his decision will be influenced by, I guess, his affiliation with that company, or his need to ensure that that company stays there? You know what I'm saying? What will his decision be based on, and how he deals with that country?
But addressing that very real concern is a partisan issue.
It's not a partisan issue. That's why I say I don't understand why there's so much people are kind of distancing themselves from this conversation as if it's not relevant, as if it doesn't tie to the subject of money and politics. If people are worried about multinational corporations influencing our politicians, why wouldn't you be concerned about, you know, maintaining the integrity of not our elections, but maintaining the integrity of our representatives by having them not accept foreign help, which is essentially corporate help, because these are corporate states too.
All right.
I think, but you know what? I think it actually. You said it's weird that we're having that this bill has come about in this conversation because of what's currently going on, like what's currently the hot button issue, which is, you know, Russia influencing the election. But since you went to that issue, there was something that was uncovered during the Mueller investigation that actually highlights that problem, and that's Michael Flynn and what was found out in the investigation that Michael Flynn was doing. Michael Flynn was paid $530,000 to consult for a Turkish businessman in direct deal with the Turkish government, and he failed to disclose this. Is that not a problem? And he was using his security clearance to his advantage in doing that. That's a problem. That's somebody being influenced by a foreign entity right there. He was also involved in a plot to kidnap a Turkish dissident living in the United States. And he was going to be paid $15 million to do that. He was taking advantage of his security clearance and being paid to do some side stuff. So that's another example of why a bill like this is important.
I agree.
Because it ties directly to the Mueller investigation and what was uncovered about individuals within the Trump campaign. Manafort as well. I'm not even going to go into that, though.
But old Mitch doesn't care. Again, because he and other Republicans think that this would be a stain on the Trump administration or a stain on how Trump was elected, possibly elected. I mean, they just don't want to involve themselves with it, even though, again, this has nothing to do with Trump per se. It may have to do with the aftermath of that 2016 election. But going forward, it's all about the integrity of our elections and securing them. That's all it is. All right, so let's look. I see a lot of people in the chat already talking about the anti-BDS vote, the resolution. So we're gonna
we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we can get to that now.
Yeah.
So we talked about this on Tuesday. On Tuesday, late Tuesday, there was a vote. It was on House Resolution 246, and it was a vote about BDS, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanctions movement. And this resolution was definitely anti-BDS. So we noted on Tuesday how it was definitely going to be passed. It's a non-binding resolution, but it was definitely going to be passed because I think it had over 350 co-sponsors, Democratic and Republican. So the final vote was 398 to 17. That is overwhelming. So the notable Congress members who voted against this non-binding resolution were Debbie Dingell, Democrat from Michigan, Raul Grijalva, Arizona, Barbara Lee, California, Bonnie Watson Coleman, New Jersey, and from the squad, the unofficial squad, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar as well. Of course. Now, there was one member of this unofficial squad that did not end up not voting for it. They did vote for it. They voted for House Resolution 246. And that was Representative Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts. So Representative Pressley was asked on Twitter to explain why she voted for the resolution. So she did respond, and we'd like to show you some images from her Twitter account. So she said, "I grew up on my mother's hip at organizing meetings. I would not be here today without the concerted protest and sacrifice of generations who fought for civil rights and liberation. I'm a proud co-sponsor of Representative Omar and Representative Lewis's H.R. 496 because of that fundamental belief." She continues, "There are a lot of anti-BDS bills out there that infringe on First Amendment rights at the state and federal level. In my view, H.R. 246 wasn't one of them. What I heard resounding in community was that voting yes on this resolution affirmed to my constituents raised in the Jewish faith Israel's right to exist, a view I share as a supporter of a two-state solution." So again, I've said the words non-binding resolution several times. I said that on Tuesday. I said that now. So this didn't have any teeth. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't produce anything. It was really a show vote. And the people that are behind it, the people that are supportive of the resolution, they feel it is meant to certify Israel's right to exist. I don't have the same opinion. I have the opinion that if you are, and I said this on Tuesday as well, it doesn't matter if you are just an individual that wanted to boycott Israel yourself, or if you are a member of a larger organization and you were doing that on a larger level, you have the right to do that, especially if you're here in the United States of America, because because of your constitutional rights, you are afforded that ability. So even though this resolution didn't say, I guess technically you can't, it didn't do anything to get in the way of you doing that. It was like a reprimand. It was like like denouncing those actions. If Ayanna Pressley is interested in the right to protest, these constitutional rights,
or civil rights, because that's what she kind of used as the launching point to her opinion or the decision why she voted the way she did. She used that as a launching point. She used civil rights as a launching point. Now, why would she do that? Because how she voted seems to be the antithesis to the background she says she was raised in.
Yep.
And the background she says she was inspired by, which is civil rights. And part of civil rights is what? Well, being able to freely speak.
Yes.
Freely speak, freely protest.
Right.
Freely boycott.
That's right.
That's an aspect of civil rights, freedom of speech. And for her to kind of use that as the launch point, to me, that seems a bit disingenuous for her to do that. It just,
I think so as well.
I don't want to say disingenuous. I think it just seems counterintuitive. That's a better word to use, because I can't really say whether she was intentfully being disingenuous. All I know is that's a counterintuitive position to hold, considering you open up with civil rights and then you support something that sends a message towards people trying to activate those civil rights. And another thing I don't understand about this, what the hell does this have to do with Israel's right to exist?
See, that's why I say I think you stated the right word, disingenuous.
Okay.
She said that this reaffirms Israel's right to exist. BDS. Now, if we're talking in reality, if we're being honest, there are people within BDS. There are people that promote BDS and they're anti-Semitic. Okay. You have to deal with that reality. There are different types of people everywhere. So, of course, there are going to be some hateful people that use that BDS message to say whatever they want to, whatever hateful message that they want to promote. But the goal of BDS is not to destroy Israel. Is that the goal of BDS? Because that's not the goal that I have seen. It's actually an economic pushback on Israel to force them to do the right thing.
That's like I don't know, like I'm not going to buy these shoes, or I'm not going to buy these clothes, or I'm not going to buy this product because this corporation treats their employees inhumanely.
Exactly like that.
That's just like that.
So that's
like,
why
are you
disingenuous.
So are you infringing upon that company's right to exist?
You have to buy that company's products. You
have
have to use their services.
And if you don't, then you're infringing on their right to exist.
That's ridiculous. And here is some language from the bill or the resolution itself, right? So I pulled this right from the site, right from the congressional site. So it states, here it goes. It says this resolution opposes the global boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, BDS, and other efforts targeting Israel, and states that BDS undermines the possibility for a negotiated solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The resolution urges both sides to return to direct negotiations and expresses support for a solution resulting in the state of Israel existing alongside a democratic Palestinian state.
So, okay, like, do you realize what they are saying there? They are saying that if you are a proponent of BDS or a practicer of BDS, right, that means you are preventing talks. You are preventing a resolution. You're preventing talks so that there can be a resolution. That's exactly what it says. You're getting in the way by not buying products.
Has BDS always been here? Has BDS always been here?
No.
So what got in the way all those other years?
This is just a damn excuse. This is a damn excuse.
You know what gets in the way of like actual progress between Israeli and Palestinian? You know what gets in the way? Stuff like demolishing buildings, Palestinian buildings, like we talked about on Tuesday in East Jerusalem.
You mean like
we talked about that?
or annexing more land?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that gets in the way. BDS
or like targeting protesters that don't pose a threat.
Oh yeah, that kind of.
Well, with lethal force.
A little bit.
Targeting protesters with lethal force.
You can kind of throw that in. You know, people dying. You know, shooting them.
As a side note.
That's kind of a side. Yeah. No. BDS.
That's
the first place.
That's the thing that's preventing any resolution from taking place. Any talks, because you can't talk about it. It automatically it does this. It does this.
So if me here, South Carolina, if I'm supportive of BDS, that means that
Irmo, South Carolina, you doing that.
If we doing that here, that means that the Palestinians and Israelis, they
can't talk. No, and neither can we get involved in those talks. We can't be intermediaries either. We can't be involved in any kind of talk because you over here in Irmo, South Carolina, are in support of BDS. Cause you.
Wow, man.
It's cause you, man.
That's why I say, this is a disingenuous argument by Ayanna Pressley. I don't agree. But she was not the only one that it's notable that she voted for it. Because progressivism is ascribed to her. But there's another one. There's another member of the House of Representatives, a Democratic member, that is always casted as a progressive as well. But they weren't on the opposition side of this resolution. That's a Democratic presidential candidate, Representative Tulsi Gabbard. She voted for the resolution.
So what you're saying is, in the Twitter sphere, on the internets, in the social media atmosphere, and just in general, there's been a lot of smoke directed at Ayanna Pressley.
Oh, a lot.
For how she voted. And the fact that she's a part of the squad kind of puts a little bit more attention on her.
No doubt.
But there's been a lot of smoke in her direction.
Right.
A lot of smoke in her direction because of how she voted. But I think, Tulsi Gabbard being a presidential candidate is that seems to be kind of a more important target.
It feels more consequential.
It feels way more consequential.
Presidential candidate.
Progressive. I know some of y'all.
The most progressive.
That's
a lot of people say that.
Again, that's the candidate that's either like first or second on a lot of y'all's list. Because again, throughout, even on, I think it was it on our show on Tuesday? People were talking about this. People were talking about this well, we weren't, but they were talking about it in the chat on Tuesday, and now leading up to today, and everything in the chat has been about who? Who has everything been in the chat about? What name did you see, Will? Going through all the chat. Y'all gonna talk about this? Y'all gonna talk about this? Y'all gonna talk about the vote? Whose name? Whose name did we see? You know I'm calling you out right now.
I mean, in this chat today or Tuesday?
Let's just talk about today. It's fine. But Tuesday was there too. But today.
But today.
And not just today, but like this kind of is a little microcosm of how people have been talking on social media, just in my circles. And so the name we've been seeing thrown out is Ayanna Pressley, but we have not seen Tulsi Gabbard's name being thrown out. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Same vote.
Same vote.
And I'm not quite sure that she has explained her vote at this point. I didn't see anything of an explanation.
Okay, keep talking for me.
I didn't see that there was an explanation for Tulsi Gabbard's vote. Ayanna Pressley, I believe, before she even commented on Twitter, she had put something out on her website, I guess her congressional website. And when she was, asked the question on Twitter, it was kind of like indirectly she was asked, but she responded to that question. And she said, well, you already put something out, on the internet, but let me respond for everybody that didn't see that here, la, la, la. Excuse me. And those are the tweets that we just showed you. So, again, that's her explanation. And she's partly right. Like I said, I will say she's technically right with it not doing anything that actually gets in the way of constitutional rights. It doesn't put a limit on your constitutional rights. This is a non-binding resolution. But if you're going to reaffirm your commitment to constitutional rights, to civil rights, to the right to free speech and the right to protest, the right to boycott, if you're going to reaffirm your commitment to those beliefs, then voting for this resolution was absolutely the wrong move. You seem to be just choosing to straddle the fence and just, I don't know. To me, it's a bad look.
I'm just, I'm just scrolling through both of her Twitter accounts, the official, the representative Tulsi Gabbard. That's her like government one, official government Twitter account, and then looking through her personal Twitter account. Obviously, both of them are going to be verified, but this is usually the first place I go because this is what they usually use. Representatives usually use social media, especially Twitter. Yeah. To talk about issues, and Tulsi Gabbard definitely does a good job of that. But I don't see anything, not on this. So I'm gonna maybe go to the search engine. But yeah, I don't see anything on our Twitter account or the explanation.
I have searched and haven't seen anything either.
If y'all can find something, we'd be very grateful if you can find us something that highlights, I guess, Tulsi's rationale for the way she voted on this resolution.
I see, there's at least one article that is, I guess, critical of that vote. I see Emma Vigilant from.
See, that's a grenade right there. That's a grenade. You can't even instantly. That's a grenade right there, and people go instantly dismiss it because
like they said, how are Tulsi Gabbard supporters going to explain away her yes vote on the anti-BDS bill?
I think because of the source, people are going to dismiss the question. But we ain't TYT.
Nope.
And my name ain't Emma. And his name is not Emma.
Nope. But all right, let's move on. All right, because we're losing time here. But there's another issue that we're going to talk about concerning Tulsi Gabbard as well. So let's get to that one. On Tuesday, Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard had an interview with Clay Travis of Fox Sports Radio. Travis has an open invitation to all presidential candidates, and Representative Gabbard was the first to accept that invitation. So it did begin with some sports talk. Got into her background with surfing and just some fun talk. They were talking about UFC fighting, MMA.
Yeah, it was more or less like, hey, this is I'm introducing Tulsi Gabbard, a presidential candidate. Here's a little bit about her. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of rehashing her own little bio. Yeah. So it wasn't like a lot of new stuff. It was just trying to allowing her to get the word out about herself and what she represents in her presidency or presidential candidacy.
And of course, since this is sports talk radio, they went into sports for a little bit. But then it did get into a little bit of the politics. And excuse me, Clay Travis went back to the first debate, in which Tulsi Gabbard wasn't on the stage with them. But Senator Kamala Harris and former VP Joe Biden had that little exchange in which Senator Kamala Harris was really going at him about the subject of busing and his support of the segregation of senators, this and that. And so Clay Travis asked her about that and what her feelings were about it. And so this is how Tulsi Gabbard responded.
One of the biggest storylines that came out of the first debate was Senator Harris's attack on Joe Biden surrounding busing. You're around my age. I'm 40 years old. You are 38 years old, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Those are really kind of ancient debates for people who are around our age and younger. Did that seem like a fair discussion to you? And it obviously took up almost all of the oxygen that came out of the first two nights of the debate.
No, it didn't. But, I think I'll leave that battle to Biden and Harris. I think one of the things that I'm most concerned with is, Kamala Harris is not qualified to serve as commander-in-chief. And I can say this from a personal perspective as a soldier. She's got no background or experience in foreign policy, and she lacks the temperament that is necessary for a commander-in-chief. I've seen the cost of war firsthand. I've experienced the consequences of what happens when we have presidents, as we have, from both political parties in the White House who lack experience, who lack that foreign policy understanding, who therefore fall under the influence of the foreign policy establishment, the military-industrial complex. This is what's so dangerous. This is what we've seen occurring over time. If you look at the wasteful regime change wars that have been waged in countries like Iraq, Libya, Syria. There are so many different examples. These are wasteful wars that have strengthened terrorist groups like ISIS and Al Qaeda, therefore making the American people less safe.
It was very interesting, her response. And actually, to begin it was interesting because she did actually have something to say about that fight that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden had.
Well,
she chose to defend Biden at first and saying that Biden wasn't a racist, even though nobody called Joe Biden a racist. But she said that he was being unfairly attacked. That was her initial reaction to it. So for her to not have anything to say about it now is very interesting. That's just at first. That's just the first thing that I see.
Well, like kind of the first thing I want to address about that interaction, right? Because this was like almost a half-hour interview, and the whole comment she made about Kamala Harris didn't come to about halfway through. But kind of what led up to the comments was the whole dust-up. Them talking about the whole dust-up between Kamala Harris and Biden, and what still bothers me about that, and how people are commenting about that. And then also Tulsi and this host, they seem to have taken this attack that Kamala issued on Biden out of context. They are both of them, but specifically Tulsi Gabbard. All right, the host, whatever, I wouldn't expect him to, but Tulsi Gabbard as a presidential candidate, right? I would expect her to understand and to acknowledge actually what led up to that. Because the way her and that host were talking about it, was like, oh, that was a long time ago. That doesn't affect us now. But I was like, but that's I guess that little skirmish, right? That little issue about, not Trump's, but Biden's position on busing didn't just come in isolation in to itself.
Right.
What did that come, how did that topic come about?
Well, it was because of Biden. It was because of Biden's own words about that support. Well, you could say support or whatever, but it was about him hearkening back to an early time and trying to champion civility and how he was, I guess, the process and being civil back years ago.
And that
him engaging in civility with these people that he did not disagree with. That's all we need.
That's all we need. So yes, he went back to that particular time in order to show how he can work with Republicans, because he did it back then. So that makes him highly qualified now. That makes him qualified to be president, and the most qualified to be president to work with today's Republicans, because look what he did back then with these segregationists. So that's what the conversation was based on. It wasn't bringing up some issue, or I guess he was on the wrong side of history 40 years ago, so that proves he can't be president now. It was about Biden establishing himself as a qualified candidate based on how he dealt with certain people back then. That's how the conversation came about.
Right.
And so it's like Tulsi still doesn't understand that. But
so she doesn't want to get involved in that. So she dismisses that subject. She doesn't want to get involved in that. Clay Travis asked her about that. Is it something that you want to comment on? Tulsi Gabbard says, no, I'm going to leave that to Biden and Kamala Harris. They can have that fight. But what I do want to say, so then she goes into this attack, really, unsolicited attack on Kamala Harris, and says that she is unqualified to be the president of the United States because she says that she has no background or experience in the matters of foreign policy. She also says that she lacks the temperament for the job. Now, we've had many things to say about Senator Kamala Harris. We've had some criticism of Senator Kamala Harris. There is legitimate criticism that you can have of Kamala Harris. I don't believe her to actually be a progressive. I think she is a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what I think. I think she's really just faking it. But she does it very, very well. So again, on issues, there are several issues where you can point to and say, you know what, I disagree with Kamala Harris on that. There's several things that you can point to in a record that says, you know what, she voted the wrong way, I don't like that, whatever. Tulsi Gabbard didn't do any of that to support the idea that Kamala Harris isn't or is unqualified to become the commander-in-chief. All she said was that she didn't have any experience on foreign policy, and she has no background. There's a lot of people that have no background on foreign policy.
Kamala Harris is not the only one.
No, and she does go into like tout her own experience, how she is a soldier, and so she does have experience on in these matters. But when she in 2000, I believe this was 2000. I don't know if it was 2015 or 2016 when she actually did it, but she stepped down from the DNC as a deputy chair.
Yeah.
And she worked to get Bernie Sanders the Democratic nomination. She thought on the issue of foreign policy, foreign matters, the military, how we use our military. She thought on that issue, and really it was that issue alone. That's why it was so imperative for her to step down and actually advocate for Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders, I don't believe, ever served in the military. I'm not aware that Bernie Sanders ever served in the military. Now, he has had a long career, and he has spent many of these years in his political career talking about failed policies, failed decisions, how we have meddled in other areas, and how we have engaged in regime change and all of this. And so he has the right ideas, so she was okay with advocating for him. He has the right ideas.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. Even though he has no experience, he had the right ideas. So kind of experience doesn't have anything to do with it.
I don't believe it has anything to do with it. You have to have the right ideas.
We don't have experience.
No, we don't have any experience. No, I've never been a soldier. Never. And like I said, Bernie Sanders hasn't either. It doesn't have to do, like, people that have had years and years of actual experience in the military
still can be on the wrong side.
Have consistently been on the wrong side. Have consistently been on the wrong side throughout the years. American exceptionalism. Oh, you have to be the police of the world. We have to oust that dictator. We have to do this. We have to do that. Where has it led us?
So basically, like, what she's using as, I guess, the foundation for why she is more qualified than Kamala Harris is a bit flawed.
It is empty. This was empty criticism.
And again, it's like, I think it would have been fine if she kind of laid out some details and not just say, you can't just say someone's inexperienced, because I don't care what presidential candidate you're looking for. I guess their responsibility is so broad as the things that it takes to kind of run a nation, right? They don't have experience in most things. Actually, most things. Most things that they are in charge of governing and organizing, they don't have any experience. So I just don't think that's a very sound argument. And it's less of a sound argument because she didn't lay out any details.
So, and that's really the real problem here. Well, where she talked about, like, she lacks the temperament too. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know how she threw that in, because if you're just talking about the issue of temperament, Kamala Harris seems like she has a fine temperament to be the commander-in-chief.
So we don't know what context what kind of temperament and dealing with, like,
I don't
diplomacy, foreign leaders, like, what does she
can't talk to world leaders, or I mean, like, what have we seen that she can't talk to? It doesn't seem to be relevant to discuss, so I don't know why she throws that in. But okay, like I said, and you said it as well, if she actually pointed to something that painted Kamala Harris in a light to where we could actually say, you know what, these decisions, these look bad. These reflect bad on the possibility that she would be good on the issue of foreign policy. Now, I can point to those, because if you look at her record, which I did, you can look at a few different votes. I'm gonna point to two. So in September 13, 2017, there was the repeal of authorization for use of the military force and authorization of use of military force against Iraq resolution of 2002. She voted nay. She voted not to table that, right? Now that didn't, it was tabled. It didn't pass or anything like that, but that was the wrong vote, because we've talked about the AUMF before and how it should be killed, because there have been several presidents, including the current one, that have used that to get us involved in several conflicts overseas that have nothing to do with Iraq, have nothing to do with what happened on 9/11. Nothing, right? Okay, so that's one. This was same year, 2017, September 18th. the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2018. She voted yay. Of course, that's to provide many billions of dollars of funds for the U.S. military. She acts like she's a progressive, but then she voted yay for that. Now, in subsequent years, she voted nay. After 2017, when she may be thinking that she's going to run for president, I have to appear to be a progressive and like I'm standing up and I want to do the military a different way. Okay, let me kind of paint this differently. So if Tulsi Gabbard had actually pointed to those two things, then you can make the case, you know what, this is not somebody that I believe that we should trust to be the next commander in chief.
And then, and then you can add in there the money she took from military contractors.
Yep.
You could add in there, it was over $100,000. Now, when attention was, placed on those campaign contributions he received from military contractors, she did pledge to stop. And she made that clear on her website. But that wasn't until attention was brought, to that fact. So, but still, that doesn't prevent people from having trust for her and considering her positions authentic.
So the other aspect of this that is a really bad look, I think it's probably the worst look, is the conversation was about two people. It was about Kamala Harris and it was about Joe Biden. Okay. She didn't want to engage herself in their fight. But she went off on a tangent and decided to attack Kamala Harris on the issue of foreign policy. Just Kamala Harris and not Joe Biden.
Now, why is that significant, Will? Well, why do you think that's significant?
Because, again, first of all, it's significant because she didn't provide anything that was an actual criticism of Kamala Harris. There was nothing tangible there. There was nothing substantive. So it was very empty. It really looked pretty bad. But for you to choose to go after Kamala Harris instead of Joe Biden, who, again, is even polling higher than Kamala Harris. So even if you were going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to attack somebody on foreign policy. Who do I choose? I should probably strike up higher. I should probably attack like the top dog, right?
Okay.
That would have made the most sense.
All right.
But she didn't do that.
And,
that's
okay,
one
right.
issue.
So
that's one.
The issue was, you have one issue, and that's Biden is polling higher.
Yeah.
So he will be considered the most electable candidate in the Democratic Party.
You want to bring him down.
Right. Okay. Now what's the other reason? Because the subject matter was foreign policy.
The subject matter was foreign policy.
And who is not qualified.
And who is not qualified.
Okay, so what's up with Biden?
So the second issue I have with this is you can stop at one issue and one issue only. Now there's several others, but you can stop at one. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq war. If Tulsi Gabbard is going to paint anybody as unqualified to lead the country, especially on the issue of foreign policy, it wasn't Kamala Harris that voted for the Iraq war. It was Joe Biden. Joe Biden was also VP of the Obama administration. And you know how Biden always takes credit for, stuff that went on in the Obama administration?
Okay, so what are you getting at? You're saying that, Joe Biden should take credit in, I guess, the increased amount of drone warfare that went on during the Obama administration.
He should.
Like it went up exponentially.
Of course it did. There is so much more
meat. There's so much meat on the bone.
More. It's a smorgasbord, man. You can the plate is full.
So you're saying that this doesn't make sense?
Nah, it doesn't make sense.
Now we already kind of went over the debate lineup, and both Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard are included in the same field.
Right. That's the second night.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm not sure what Tulsi Gabbard's angle is. A week leading up to this debate, this is going to be an issue at the debate. One of them is going to receive a direct question. Now, I don't know who is going to get it first. That may be important. they may direct it toward Tulsi first and say, hey, you said this about Kamala Harris. Can you explain exactly why? They may direct the question towards Kamala Harris first and say, hey, Tulsi Gabbard said this about you. How do you respond? So it might, depending on who gets the question first, that might, I guess, play into how people perceive the situation. But maybe she's trying to force a conversation in her direction because she knows that since she's a lower tier candidate, a lot of the questions won't be directed at her. And since this is her strong point, or she thinks it's her strong point, foreign policy, it's going to force the conversation in her direction.
We wouldn't have a problem with that, though. I wouldn't have a problem with her forcing the issue and being the subject of conversation to get me on the mic. I think she only talked for like 6 minutes or so, just over 6 minutes in the first debate. So she wants to talk more. Cool. You want to force the issue? You want a question thrown at you? You want to mix it up with another candidate? Cool. But if you're going to criticize Kamala Harris and say that she's unqualified, you better provide an offer of proof, something substantive to actually point to. And she didn't do that at all.
Again, this was more of a casual interview. So she still should have done it there, but maybe she will have something, in her front pocket, not in her back pocket. Maybe she'll have something in her front and her back pocket.
But again, and I can't just like minimize this point. If you're going to say that anybody is unqualified
and going to go out of your way to point that out,
going to go out of your way, why leave it? If you want to include Kamala Harris, because she's going to be on the stage too. If you want to include her, fine. But why not also reference Joe Biden?
Actually, again, since Kamala Harris is like one of 5,285 Democratic candidates, I think it would be more advantageous to separate herself from all candidates, not just the ones that are involved in a particular dust-up.
But this would have been the exact moment to do it because the conversation centered on both of them. So if you don't want to say, you could have said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get into that issue of the busing thing. They can figure that out.
But a current issue, and that is probably important or more important than a busing issue that they should have been discussing is foreign policy, endless wars, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And both of them seem to have some problems with that issue.
She could even say, I don't believe either one is qualified, and here's the reason why.
So,
I don't think I would have said anything about it if she laid out why. And with Biden, it would have been very easy to do that.
It would have been easier to do. Yes. And so, I don't want to, because everything would be in my imagination if I try to come up with a reason as to why Tulsi Gabbard went about it this way. Everything would be irresponsibly speculative. So I don't even want to throw anything out there as to why I think she's doing this. I can't really come up with anything. And if I do come up with anything, like I said, it would be irresponsible and it would be just speculative. I don't know why she's doing it, but all I know is something ain't right. Something ain't right. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just something doesn't seem very kosher about this. Like I said, even if it was just to kind of draw attention to herself, so she would receive a question.
In this way, though, why would you do it in this way?
Because see, here's the thing. Will already went over how Kamala Harris is perceived amongst those who are, not progressive, and how she can come off as actually being progressive. And we talked about this when she had her first town hall. And to be objective, it's like she came off as kind of very progressive, even though we know she's not. And we could point to many instances where she's proven herself not to be.
Right.
But the vast majority of American people, it's not like that.
Right.
And so what my fear is this might backfire on Tulsi Gabbard. This has the potential to backfire on Tulsi Gabbard. You're dealing with somebody who has a lot of corporate money backing them, a stronger campaign, more people. She's funded better, and also Kamala Harris is what is her history? What is her profession?
For a prosecutor.
Prosecutor.
Yeah.
So she already knows how to set people up. She already knows how to set people up. So I think it has the potential to backfire on Tulsi Gabbard. And if she's going to go into a debate where she knows that there's going to be favoritism shown, and she said this, and I agree with it, there's going to be some favoritism shown in these debates to certain candidates. Certain candidates are going to be centered. Certain candidates are going to receive certain questions, softball questions. And Kamala Harris is probably one of them. And like it could backfire on her. That's all I'm saying.
Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here, and like you said, you don't know what it is, but something is wrong. This looks extraordinarily whack because and it's not just this instance where she chose to keep hands off of Joe Biden. It's not just this one, but it was the same conversation that Clay Travis was trying to get her to talk about, in which she went to bat for Joe Biden and say that he was not a racist, even though nobody painted him as a racist. She was trying to stand up for Joe Biden.
She said it wasn't relevant. He said this situation wasn't even relevant and it shouldn't be something that is talked about. And the attack was unfair. So
Why is she working for Joe Biden?
Joe Biden deserves protection. I just don't understand it. But the gloves can come off on Kamala Harris. And now, like, we think the gloves should come off on Kamala Harris, but we think the gloves should come off on everybody who is,
The conversation surrounded two people. And on the issue of foreign policy, what person out of these two has more to tackle? Like, if you're going to address foreign policy, given these two particular candidates, who has more to talk about? Is it Kamala Harris or Joe Biden? Who are you going to be more critical of, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris?
Now again, we're trying to. Well, I know I am. I don't know about you, but I'm like trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and just considering it a strategy. And since politics is a dirty game, anything goes. You see what I'm saying? Anything goes. So it doesn't matter what kind of strategy she's using to direct the conversation to her. That's kind of like was my first inclination. Because obviously, I should be like, man, fuck Kamala. You see what I'm saying?
But again, we're looking at this thing objectively. It doesn't matter that we don't support Kamala Harris. If you're going to attack anybody, it better be rooted in some facts, some kind of substance, something. You better have some type of material. Even if you want to hit Donald Trump, it better not be on some unfounded crap.
Also, maybe, again, if I'm going to speculate, I'm going to speculate on something positive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to speculate on something like, I guess, negative, right? So if I'm going to offer any kind of speculation, it's going to be speculation that centers upon it being a strategy to direct the conversation in a certain way towards her strong point, which is foreign policy. That's my first imaginative, I guess, angle. My second imaginative angle would be positive now, not negative speculation, not, I guess, derogatory speculation against Tulsi. But kind of positive speculation, or I guess a speculation that would lead me to believe that she has some sort of like higher motive. And that's maybe trying to knock Kamala Harris off for Bernie Sanders, possibly.
Again, why not do it in a substantive way?
Again,
if you
because
have a strategy.
Because it's politics and it doesn't matter.
But it makes you look worse. It makes you look worse. Because you just said that Kamala Harris is a prosecutor. She knows what she's doing, especially on the debate stage.
I'm just talking about that was the aftermath. I was talking about the possible consequences and me being kind of cognizant that that's a possible consequence. That's what that was. I was talking about the aftermath. That's different than talking about like I guess judging the strategy and what actually the objective of like her doing this is. Again, I'm just trying to be like trying to see it in a.
This is what I know. Tulsi Gabbard's not stupid. She's not stupid. I don't think anybody would say that she's stupid, ill-informed, ignorant. I don't think anybody would say that. I definitely wouldn't say that as well. And she knows that progressivism is ascribed to her. She wears it. Progressive. A lot of people call her the most progressive in the race. So if the scenario presents itself where you can talk about Kamala Harris or you can talk about Joe Biden, and you can talk about either one on the subject of foreign policy, and you pick Kamala Harris, and you don't even mention anything that particularly excludes her, particularly disqualifies her from being the commander-in-chief. You don't even do that much, and you say nothing about Joe Biden. Nothing. I'm sorry, that's a really bad look. To a progressive, to anybody that's looking at this in an objective way, that is a really bad look.
It's one of those things that will iron itself out next week.
That's right. All right, so we got a couple more to talk about. On Thursday, Senator Marco Rubio, a Republican from Florida, decided to involve himself in the smears against Representative Ilhan Omar. So we've talked about recently how Ilhan Omar, and not just Ilhan Omar, but the other members of this unofficial squad, have been attacked by conservatives, and it's been led by President Donald Trump. At the rally, at President Trump's rally in Greenville, North Carolina last week, there was a chant directed at Ilhan Omar, Representative Ilhan Omar, saying, "Send her back."
And it's almost a sentiment that actually spread to others in the squad too, even though it was centered on her.
It was centered
something
on her.
That's been directed at all of them now.
Right. Also during this rally, President Trump talked about how I guess she was supportive of terrorism.
Praising Al-Qaeda.
Yes. He said this as well.
Held her shoulders out and chest out high.
Yes, but when talking about America, no, she doesn't talk about America in with pride or anything. Again, these are unfounded claims. These are complete lies. But anyway, there is definitely an effort to cast her as un-American, as supportive of terrorism, and racist as well, because Donald Trump definitely went there too. No, she's racist.
Particularly racist towards Jewish people.
Yes.
The anti-Semitic claim.
So, again, Senator Marco Rubio, he decided to involve himself in this conversation now. So Senator Rubio shared a video on Twitter showing parts of an interview that Representative Omar had with Al Jazeera in early 2018. The clip Senator Rubio shared was edited in a way to make it seem as though Representative Omar was racist against white people. So this is the tweet. We're going to show you this first. And he included the comment, "I am sure the media will now hound every Democrat to denounce this statement as racist." Right? So we're going to show you the video. And like I said, it was edited. So we're going to show you that video, and then we're going to show you the actual video, not edited, and then let you be the judge of it.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
So you saw that the little cut. That was where they spliced the video and add something to it. So we're going to show you, again, the video as it completely went, at her response, how that completely went, without any alterations.
It'll definitely add more context.
I think it'll add a little bit of context.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Interesting.
So that little bit that was cut, she said, So if fear was the driving force of policies to keep Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring white men. Now that her answer, only took about 34 seconds. Her whole answer only took about 34 seconds. Why did they?
And it
wasn't like it was a long answer.
Then they cut it in the middle.
Yeah. Why would you cut her answer? Cut a little bit of part of the context of her answer. Why would you cut that out and then just pull that out and then push these two together to make it seem as though she said something that she didn't?
Because the context gives indication of a misplaced, I guess, concern. That's what she was getting at, like misplaced concern. If fear directs policy, then this would be the case.
Yes.
She was trying to address maybe some cognitive dissonance that occurs within American people and I guess how the United States develops its policy. And if it was about fear, if it was about safety, if it was about terrorism, then why not like focus on the terrorism that causes the most damage? Why do people that share my faith, why did we get policies directed towards us that I guess that, like after 9/11, there was all kinds of, infiltration within mosques.
Yes.
They put,
they wanted to stop mosques from being built.
They wanted to stop mosques from being built. There was like, systematic targeting of Muslim communities. Then you got air marshals on every plane.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that was done to curtail terrorism from certain group of people, even though those people domestically contribute to a smaller percentage of terrorism than, let's say, like terrorism that is, I guess, directed by white nationalist or white supremacist ideology.
So factually and statistically, Representative Omar was absolutely right.
She was trying to point to a hypocrisy.
Yes, because like she was talking about, if fear is the driving motive, then what's more dangerous for the inhabitants of the United States are the white nationalists, the white supremacists, these hateful white men. That's more dangerous for the safety and security of people that reside here in the United States, not jihadist terrorism.
When was this comment? When were these comments made? When did she make these comments?
It was early 2018.
Early 2018, so like over a year ago. But what is most interesting about Marco Rubio being so upset about these comments, it's interesting because it's very timely, considering FBI Director Christopher Wray was just involved in his own hearing, his own testimony. I think it was on Tuesday, which he talked about a number of things. One of the things he talked about was domestic terrorism.
Yes, he did.
And during that questioning, he was very lucid about who's responsible. He was very upfront. They didn't have to like pull it out of him.
No.
He was very upfront about who was responsible for most of the terrorism here in the United States. And who is that?
White supremacists.
White supremacists.
Yeah.
So is Marco Rubio upset about that and that information coming out?
I don't remember him saying anything about that.
I don't remember him saying anything about that.
But Ian Omar's sliced up words, these are racist. Well, another point of this that is very interesting, very, very interesting, of course, I noted that we're just coming off of a week in which Representative Omar was targeted, saying that she was supportive of terrorism.
Go back to your country.
Go back to
where
your
you came
country.
from.
She's racist. All of this stuff. She's anti-American. The tweets by Donald Trump, the chants, all of that. Now, Senator Marco Rubio, he described the tweets from Donald Trump and the chant, "Send her back." He described those as wrong. He did say they were wrong.
Didn't say how.
Didn't say how they were wrong. Didn't really describe. Didn't go into detail about why or how they were wrong. But he said they were wrong. But it seemed like he engaged in the kind of like deflection game. He wanted to deflect racism from Donald Trump or his supporters as well. He would not say that any of that stuff that we saw was racism. But a spliced up video that's over a year old, like you just mentioned, where Ian Omar, without the context, is painted to be a racist. He's able to He's able to
able to easily
like,
say,
point that out.
Now
Like,
that's what racism is.
That's too
but
much.
He
You're
had to
doing too
go.
much there.
He had to go out of. Now we're not saying he cut it.
No, I'm not saying he cut it.
We're not saying he cut it.
Because it was shared by somebody, Amali something. You saw it on the Twitter.
But he didn't care to see the rest of the clip, which would have gave an indication or would have given him context, which may have given him pause or maybe not. But I don't think it matters. I don't think he even cares.
Do you think Marco Rubio is stupid? Do you think he has the inability to find the rest of the video?
No. If he was really interested in trying to establish whether Omar was actually racist and what she said was actually wrong, he would actually verify first and look for the rest of the interview. But it is interesting that he was so quick to just say, oh, see, no, they're the real racists.
He can
but
call
he's
that
so
out.
reluctant to call not just Donald Trump out because it's like when you say across the board, you're talking about Republicans across the board. You know, we don't have to like splice and edit something to determine like whether Steve King is a
representative
racist.
From what is that, Kansas?
I think that's Kansas, somewhere in the Midwest.
No, Iowa.
Somewhere in the Midwest.
Iowa. Yes. No, we don't have to go out of our way to like search for any material about Steve King because he's a racist and he shows that time and time again. There are multiple Republicans that have done that throughout the course of history. The effort to deflect racism from Donald Trump, the effort to protect him from that label of racism. Last week.
Took much effort.
There were just a few Republicans that were like, you know what? That was too far. That was definitely racist. And he should denounce these words. He should pull those comments off of Twitter. Those are only a few Republicans that did that. And we talked about those particular Republicans. The by and large, the majority of the Republican Party, they stopped short of saying racism. They maybe would say it was too far. You shouldn't do this. It was like throwing a grenade at them. It was irresponsible. But they would not condemn these words as racist.
Not just the words, like other past actions too.
No, they don't do it.
They don't do it, no matter what. I do think.
But Ilhan Omar,
she's the real racist.
Easily too.
That's the real racist. This looks like some like self-conscious shit going on.
Even without the context, I still wasn't offended.
This is definitely some self-conscious shit going on. You see what I'm saying? Why would you go out of your way to do this? It's like one of those things where you know that monkey is on your back and you need to get it off, but you don't want to get it off. You don't want to acknowledge the amount of bigotry and the racism within your own party, and you don't want to hold anybody accountable within your own party, or you don't even want to hold yourself accountable. So I guess the next best thing you can do is to try to find that same thing that you are guilty of,
but put it on somebody else.
And put it on somebody else. And put it on the person that is getting the most racism thrown at them. Yeah. That's what makes it even worse.
Damn. So somebody is having to deal with all this kind of racism being thrown at them. So instead of calling that for what it is, you in turn say, no, that person is racist. Think about that, man. And like I said, even without the context, before I saw the entirety of her response, I knew what the hell she was trying to say.
You knew what she was talking about.
So even with that little part that they cut, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And if you saw the Twitter comments under the video, people were saying the same thing. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong here. She's actually telling the truth here. So even without the context, she was telling a truth.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Like even if we're not going to talk about the racial aspect of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we can talk about the nationalistic aspect of it, or how this is a function of toxic nationalism. Uh-huh. How white supremacy or white supremacist terrorism is a outgrowth of toxic nationalism. And obviously a country that is birthed in that, has its foundation in that, it's going to see kind of that manifest in some of its people. Like the last show I talked about how in order for white supremacy to be successful, white people have to be somewhat oppressed too, somewhat controlled. In order for white supremacy to work, white people have to be controlled in some kind of way in order for it to work. Not going to sit there and say they're on the same level as far as victims go, but they have to buy into it a little more, and they have to be controlled in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you're talking about white nationalist terrorism, America created that. America created people like that over the long course of its history. And if you look at what motivates most of them is what? What motivates white terrorism, and well, I guess terrorism from white nationalists, is things like equality, the nation becoming more equitable for other people other than white people. That's what motivates a lot of it. So why would they be mad? Why would they be mad at that? They would be mad at that because there's a long history of this country catering to people who look like them. America has a long history of that. And if that starts to erode and that kind of gets taken away, you're going to have some animosity. So America created these people. So it's one of those situations where it goes beyond race. It's kind of this is kind of a general psychological like response.
But even but even talking about
response,
how these people were made, like how America created these types of dynamics. Why don't you just deal with the truth though? Why don't you just deal with the truth? And it's here.
That's the point. You asked that question. Like, that's why I said it's, even though it's a kind of a sociological like issue to deal with, it's probably better to deal with it and talk about it as like a kind of a personal issue, like a general psychological issue that even an individual will go through. Because what do we do rather than kind of address something that is going on inside of us?
Oh, you point the finger.
You point the finger, or you look outside of yourself, or so you don't self-reflect. You say, "Damn,
that's pretty
like
hard to do.
We have that. I have this problem. I have this problem, but I'm not comfortable with dealing with it. I know it's something that I can solve. It's a self-perpetuating problem, but I'm going to like look outside myself. I'm going to look at other things to blame for it, and that's kind of what's going on here. And that's a separate apart from like the whole racial angle. That's just kind of a general function of a nation that was thriving on white supremacy, not wanting to deal with what it created. It's basically eating itself. It's eating itself, and it doesn't want to look at it. That's really all it is, man.
And I don't believe Rubio has responded to requests to maybe change his language. As far as I know, the tweet is still up on his Twitter page. We'll see if he responds to requests for additional commentary, because there was even a journalist that I believe, I don't remember who it was, but there was a journalist that had posted it to their Twitter account as well. But then after seeing the entire video, pulled it down and was like, oh, no. I was definitely wrong for that. The context proves the point that she was making. There's nothing wrong here. If you're being objective, if you're just being truthful about what she did, what she said, there was nothing wrong about what she said. It wasn't racist at all. It was just trying to make the comparison. Hey, if you think jihadist terrorism is causing all this ruckus in the United States of America and creating so much fear and chaos and death, then why are you ignoring white supremacy so much? Why isn't that taking the number one place on your mind?
That's the hierarchy we have to deal with in this present day and age. And as one of our viewers and I guess frequent callers, Court, likes to point out that throughout the course of history, there's been a number of things that humans have used in order to create social hierarchies. At one point, it was religion. In this case, right now we have two main ones, and that's race, and that's I guess economics, class. So.
All right. You're shaking. Oh. All right, so let's get to the last story here. Pretty sure people have probably heard about this. The Department of Justice announced earlier this morning on Thursday that the death penalty the federal death penalty has been reinstated after many years of inactivity. The DOJ also announced that executions have been scheduled for 5 federal death row inmates. So the last federal execution occurred in 2003. That was about 16 years ago. In a statement, Attorney General William Barr said, Congress has expressly authorized the death penalty through legislation adopted by the people's representatives in both houses of Congress and signed by the president. The Justice Department upholds the rule of law, and we owe it to the victims and their families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system. So, I don't think this is really too surprising to anybody. This is something that was on the agenda, on the Republican agenda. This was something that was on the Trump administration agenda. As you can recall, Trump even wants to kill drug dealers. You remember that? He was kind of celebrating what is happening in the Philippines.
Duterte?
Yeah, Duterte.
I'll be pronouncing that.
So yeah, he kind of said that, hey, yeah, we need to go further in trying to, I guess, further with the penalties for drug dealers, because drug dealers are really, they're causing more death than just, I guess, even a mass murderer.
But it went beyond drug dealers, though.
It did.
It went beyond it went to people who were addicted to drugs as well.
Yeah. But again, this is not surprising. It is unfortunate. It is definitely unfortunate because I've talked many times about how I am not supportive of the death penalty at all. I don't believe the United States can. Actually, it's really not about the United States. But since we're talking about the United States, the United States, I don't believe the United States has shown that they can, deal with the death penalty in a fair way. I don't believe they have shown the ability to not kill. I don't think they have shown the ability to not kill innocent people as well. So my opinion is, if one innocent person has been put to death, the practice should be completely eliminated, because you can't get that death back. There is no repair.
Wait, man. You don't we still have to praise Donald Trump for signing that, criminal justice reform bill?
Oh, the First Step Act?
The First Step Act, man.
Oh, yeah. So because of that, he gets a pass on this one.
Yeah. He gets a pass.
No, he doesn't. So the first execution is scheduled for December 9th, later this year. And the inmate is Daniel Lewis Lee, a white supremacist convicted of killing a family of 3 in Arkansas. The others that have been scheduled for death are Lesmond Mitchell, was convicted of killing a grandmother and her granddaughter. Wesley Ira Perkey, raped and murdered a teenage girl. Alfred Bourgeois, sexually molested and killed his own daughter. Dustin Lee Hunkin, who shot and killed 5 people, a mass killing, mass shooting. So all 5 are going to be executed by lethal injection using a single drug, pentobarbital. And, there's, of course, and Republicans say that what held them up from reinstating this was, I guess, the conversation about, the drugs that were going to be used, because they try to combine drugs to use for, for executions. And at least at one point it went completely
haywire. Yeah.
And it didn't kill him, and it just led to, like I said, it was chaos. It was very, if execution is not cruel and unusual punishment, which I think it is, what happened to that guy definitely is. He didn't die. It was crazy. But anyway, of course, Democratic presidential candidates, they weighed in, and all of them, seems that they are against the death penalty. Bernie Sanders said, quote, "There's enough violence in the world. The government shouldn't add to it. When I am president, we will abolish the death penalty." Senator Elizabeth Warren said, "Our criminal justice system has a long history of mistakes when it comes to capital punishment, especially when it comes to Black and brown people. We cannot let a broken system decide the fate of incarcerated Americans. I oppose the death penalty." Senator Kamala Harris. This morning, the Department of Justice announced they would resume capital punishment. Let me be clear. Capital punishment is immoral and deeply flawed. Too many innocent people have been put to death. We need a national moratorium on the death penalty, not a resurrection. And New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said, our governments have not been able to get to the truth consistently enough to have the right to take a life. I've always opposed the death penalty, and this time is no different. The Trump administration should leave the death penalty in the past where it belongs.
Okay, you just read off some comments from the top Democratic candidates. Most of them. The top ones.
Warren,
Sanders, Harris,
Kamala Harris.
You know, de Blasio, middle tier, I guess.
There was also a comment from, of course, there was a comment from your guy, Beto.
O'Rourke.
Say your guy.
Beta.
Beta. Also, Amy Klobuchar, she had something to say. There was...
it's kind of like you...
I was looking for something. It
sounds like you're looking for something.
I was looking for a comment from somebody.
Because, like you're probably looking for a comment from a particular person because his record on criminal justice has come into question the most, more so than any other Democratic candidate.
That's correct.
Is that kind of a good summation of why you're...
Yeah, it's kind of a good lead into that.
You're looking for something.
Okay, well, since this is the new you...
The new you. Because he just put out something. And we talked about it on Tuesday.
Yes.
His campaign
Damn,
just
was that
drafted.
Tuesday?
We just talked about that Tuesday.
I was thinking that it might have been last week, but it was Tuesday?
It was Tuesday.
So Joe Biden dropped the new criminal
justice reform mixtape.
Dropped the new platform, right? Mm-hmm. And as I said on Tuesday, he separated himself from himself.
Yes.
And the death penalty,
whether knowingly or unknowingly.
Yes. But the death penalty is something that
He would be on top of.
Well, I'm talking about pre-Joe Biden, pre-Tuesday.
Oh.
Pre-Tuesday Joe Biden, he was all for the death penalty. And it was known. Now, there had been, leading up to Tuesday, there have been some people speculating, is he softening on the death penalty? Nothing was concrete yet.
Yeah, because I guess the criminal justice reform proposal that his campaign put out didn't really address that. It was more centered on kind of addressing drug policy, centered on that.
But it stated on Tuesday when he put that out, it stated that we should get rid of the death penalty. I'm just saying, leading up to that, there was some talk about how he was he was possibly softening his stance, and people were speculating about, is he going to get to the point where he is in opposition to the death penalty? And he got there on Tuesday.
Got there on Tuesday, but the question still remained because it was more or less like there was not a lot of details.
No, there wasn't.
There was more details.
There was
a statement. That proposal surrounded more or less like drug policy. So even though it mentioned the death penalty, there wasn't a lot of verbiage that dealt with that situation. So yeah, it did kind of bring into question whether he was moving along. And I do think this situation will be the perfect situation for him to chime in.
Johnny on the spot.
Since that's the question now. Not only
2 days prior to this information coming out, Johnny on the spot, Joe Biden says...
Joey on the spot.
Joey on the spot says, no, I'm not with the death penalty anymore. So this is like a red carpet being rolled out for him. I'm timely here. And let me be the first to say something.
And if you're not the first, there are other presidential candidates that took the opportunity to take advantage of this red carpet.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And make statements about it.
Yes.
But Biden hasn't, which is weird considering that, you'd think that his campaign would be on top of something like this.
Of course, this is at nighttime. We're at about 9:00 Eastern Standard Time Thursday night. Before we came on air, we looked to see if there were any words from Biden on this. Didn't see anything. I'm taking a quick look on the internet right now, and I still do not see anything.
Again, he's the one who says he can beat Trump, right? And this is coming from the Trump administration.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, I think those other candidates are completely aware of that. That's why they jumped on top of it. Regardless of whether you think their positions are genuine, They jumped on top of it because they know they're going to be, or they have the potential to, win the Democratic nomination and go against Trump. So it's important for them to jump on this.
There are many, there are many people that spoke out. I think, let me see, Dianne Feinstein said something. Who else? Cory Booker made a statement. Jay Inslee from Washington.
So again, it's a failure on his campaign. If I'm not going to put this on Joe Biden, it's going to be on his campaign, because this is something these are things that his campaign should be aware of. You're always aware of what the current administration is doing and having a response for it, and you're aware of what other presidential candidates that the person that you're supporting is running against and what they're standing up for, especially if it's something so in your face like this. You would think that he would.
Yo, where's Simone Sanders?
Oh.
Where's she at? Where's she? I'm just saying. Senior aide to the Biden campaign. She's shown up to advance his agenda, to try to advance his agenda.
So not only is Joe Biden missing in action, Simone Sanders is missing in action. Somebody who is made it a habit, or I think by necessity, made it a habit to go on, network television and, make appearances in the media.
Yeah.
Making sure everybody, understands Joe Biden and his positions. You would think she'd be out there now. Well, maybe we should give her a few more days.
A few more, because I'm on her Twitter account now. I'm on her Twitter account, and July 24th. What's in Joe Biden's latest proposal? Check out the video below, and it's a video about the new criminal justice reform plan by Joe Biden. So okay, that's July 24th. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. 10 hours ago, news about Amtrak. Something about her being on a plane.
That's
retweeting something about Rosa Parks. Okay. Well, actually, that's a pin tweet. That's from January 18th. My bad.
Okay, that don't even count. She got another account, right?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
They're getting to it.
They're getting to it.
Because they usually get to things like this very late. Biden usually arrives late to the party.
Leading from
behind and failing forward. That's what Joe Biden does.
Man, I really thought the Biden team would be out front on this. Since, like I said, he has this new revolutionary criminal justice plan. This is the perfect time to say, you see, I told you on Tuesday, we need to end the death penalty.
Well, what he's probably going to do, as his campaign's probably going to do, is going to gather all the comments all the other candidates have made. They're going to gather those comments to create something better. Better comments. A better composite for Joe Biden to, I guess, a better composite for Joe Biden to, I guess, develop his own opinion about it. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
That's what he's going to do. He's making sure he understands the issue and where everybody's at. And that's when his opinion about it is going to come.
And look, I do want to say that the 5 scheduled executions, again, that have already been scheduled, I haven't read a lot about their cases. I read short summaries about their cases. They were convicted, sentenced to death. Now, this isn't to paint them. Yeah, it's not to excuse their actions. And I don't want to just assume guilt too, because I have not read up on these situations. So they could be guilty. Maybe one or more are professing their innocence and there's a good claim to it, you can find the good argument. I have no idea. But if they did what they did, I'm not excusing their actions whatsoever. I'm not saying that they deserve this and deserve that. What I am saying is that I am against the death penalty. It doesn't matter who is being charged with a crime, whether it be murder, rape. It doesn't matter what the crime is. I don't believe that any human should have the ability to decide when another human being dies. That's what I'm saying right there. You had no, you weren't instrumental in ensuring that human being was brought to life, right? Why would we be? How is it fair? How should it be in our hands to decide when somebody else dies?
I think
no matter what they did.
I think the answer is kind of in your question. You say in our hands. Now, when you say our, you're not talking about you in particular, but you're talking about a particular system.
Yeah.
A particular system that we have that I guess that issues punishment very unequally. So when you say our hands, you're talking about a specific system that is not responsible in issuing punishments evenly across the board. And something stands out to me when I kind of rethink and go over what Warren said about the system being broken. And the problem with her comments is not that it's not true to a certain extent. And we talk about this all the time. Is the system really broken?
No, it's working exactly as it's
It's
intended to work. Yeah.
So
it's, this isn't somebody that's in a coma for some amount of time and they can't live on their own. They can't breathe on their own, and then a family has a decision to make. Do I take them off of the equipment, the machine? This is not that. This is about an instrument of. This is about a punishment. This is an instrument that is used as punishment. And I've said it before. It just does not matter what the crime was. I don't care if somebody killed one person, or I don't care if that person killed 1,000 people. Nobody else should be able to kill another person. I don't care if you think that that person should not deserve to be, doesn't deserve to breathe air, is a vile person. I wouldn't have any kind of disagreement with that. A vile person doesn't deserve to breathe, doesn't deserve to live here, doesn't deserve to do anything. No, he's an animal, deserves to die, really. But should we have a say on when that particular human being dies? That's the question then. And as many of these candidates made the case too, have we shown the ability to kill only the people that deserve it? Have we shown the ability to only kill the people that have definitely committed a crime so heinous as to warrant the death penalty? Has an innocent person been put to death? If the answer is yes, then how could you ever advocate for the death penalty ever again? That would be one death way too much, because you're talking about a civilized society now. You're talking about a society that made that person go to death. You're talking about a civilized society that said, we're okay to sending you to your death. You can't get that life back whatsoever. If that is a situation that happens, and we know that it has happened more than once. So if that's real, how can anybody advocate for this very flawed system? You can't say that you're pro-life and back up the death penalty either. Can't do that. I just wanted to throw that out there. You can't say you're pro-life and back up the death penalty. You can't.
There's a lot of things you can't back up.
Can't do that. All right. So we're gonna open this up for callers. There's a few more tidbits of information that we could talk about, but I definitely want to open this up. It's already approaching 9:30, so definitely want to hear from you. If anybody has something to say, if you have a question or comment, now would be the time to get it in. We welcome anybody that has a comment or a question, short, anything relevant, something that we talked about on tonight's program, Tuesdays, anything that would provoke some thought, have at it. We welcome it. So the number to call in is 669. Is it 900? Oh, I was right. See, I should have just went with it. 669-900-6833. See, I know the 669. And I know the. Don't even know the last four now. I forgot it. That is 6833, right? Yep. Today is a different world, man. I used to remember numbers like it was nothing, man. Had to. You had to.
You had to. I remember when I was like 13 years old, I had, like 30 numbers written. I was like, I don't know, how many lines are on a college rule paper? Had them all written down. Friend's name? No.
Oh, yeah. Everybody had an address book.
Remember them all, man.
Yeah, you had to have that address book, man.
Yo, somebody didn't even mention we were talking about her, dog, because we did the Ilhan Omar story.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about her is she's been in the limelight a lot. It's not somebody that I've been kind of heavily focused on, right?
Right.
Because there's not a lot of, news has been directed at her until, lately. Dog, she fine as hell, dog.
You want to
get that on I just had to get that out on the record.
You had to say that on the record.
I had to say that thing right there, boy. Omar is fine as hell, dog. Like, the more and more I see her, I'm like, God, dog. I'm like, her facial structure reminds me of Kerry Washington a little bit.
I can see that.
She fine. I'm like,
even the smile, yeah.
Even the
smile. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, boy, she Muslim, so I was like, that just destroys my chances right there. I'm halfway there though, because I don't eat pork. So I'm just saying, I might shoot my shot. You know what I'm saying? Might go out and, order me a little prayer rug.
Well, she is. Well, I mean, she's still far away, man. That's DC.
I don't care, dog.
It's not
Minnesota. She probably got a house in Minnesota. I don't care, dog.
Yeah.
I moved to Minnesota.
I don't think she's married anymore, too. I think she. No, hold on. No, hold on.
Ah, don't tell me that, man. I done already put an order for my prayer rug.
I think she has like 3 kids.
I don't care.
Yeah. I'm saying. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I know she has 3, but I'm not sure if she's married or not. Because you know what? I'm mixing them up. I think Rashida Tlaib is not married, but I think Ilhan Omar is.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, man.
I was about to say, man. Sorry. About to do a call to prayer, boy. Oh.
All right. We don't have anything in the queue right now. Epstein.
That's right. The news.
Yes, Epstein.
He was found with. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. He was found in his cell, nearly unconscious. They believe that it was a possible suicide attempt. Or possibly somebody got in the cell and beat him up. I don't know. But there was damage to his neck. He had some neck injury.
I've seen a lot of stuff out there, floating out there. One belief is that he's just trying to get transferred.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I've seen that.
I saw that.
But yeah.
Who knows at this point? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming that there's going to be a lot of people that, I guess, tied to him that, could go down because of him. So
yeah,
he's definitely a target. I just read something on Twitter. See, somebody shared some sort of, I guess, Biden clip. He's talking at some sort of event, and the clip that they show is a clip of him saying something about Barack Obama. And Joe Biden is saying, I doubt Barack Obama would have picked me if these accusations about my being wrong on civil rights were correct. So he's basically saying, hey, I'm good on all this stuff. And the reason I'm good is because Barack Obama picked me. So there's no way I can be bad on anything dealing with civil rights because a black guy picked me.
So I'm good enough for I'm good enough for Barack Obama, so I should be good enough for all you black people out there.
That's basically saying, not only did I have a black friend, I had the most powerful black friend. So therefore, that makes my black friend like that just like...
This is like, who's your black friend?
Who's your black friend?
Look at mine.
Look at mine. It's like, what does Kevin do? He's an insurance agent? He doesn't mean anything. Or all these other black people, they don't mean anything. Hey, my black friend was the president.
And he picked me.
And he picked me. So I'm
that
like.
means like I'm black, right? I don't think you go that far.
No.
That'd be funny
But could it mean that, you know, Obama just picked me to balance the ticket? Could he think that? Does he think that?
No, because he's a progressive, remember?
Oh, that's right.
He's the most
There's
progressive.
no way Obama picked me to pick me, Biden, just to balance the ticket.
Nah. All right, we got our first caller. Let's welcome them to the stream. 617, you're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, Michael, it's Ben out front. How you doing?
Ben.
Good, man. Good to hear from you. How you doing tonight?
Good. How you guys doing?
Man, we good, man.
Okay, man. Not bad, not bad. What's on your mind?
Hey, I appreciate you guys being out front with me and with all the listeners and watchers, I guess. And actually, I wanted to bring up something that really, it's kind of gone underneath the radar. And what it is the new policy by the Trump administration that's called the Safe Third Country, I believe it's called. Have you guys heard of this?
What is it called?
I believe it's called the Safe Third Country.
Safe Third Country.
I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, Safe Third Country. It came out on July 15th. At least the article I kind of pulled up was from July 15th, so I'm sure, it was within a few days of that. And basically the rule is that you can't seek asylum in the United States if you pass through another country first. So, for instance, if I don't have a map in front of me, but let's say that you're coming from Guatemala and you pass through New Mexico, you have to claim asylum in Mexico. So now,
that's what.
This is my theory of how this is going to work. Right now, the migrant detention centers are raking in the profits. They're getting profits, and their stocks are through the roof. But what's happening is there's a lot of pushback, and people are trying to shut them down. And here in the United States, you have Congress members who are going there and taking tours and trying to shut it down. So what they're saying is there's a two-part to this. One is we're going to not allow any more migrants into the country unless they're Mexican only. So if you're from Mexico, you could conceivably come to the United States on the town, but nobody else will. And I don't think we have like a big number of asylum seekers from Mexico. So it's basically, it's terrible policy just for what it is. But then here's kind of my theory, is that what we're going to do is we're going to put these private detention centers down in those other countries in accordance with this. And I don't have any evidence on this, but basically my theory is kind of prediction. They're going to put these migrant detention centers down in Mexico and Guatemala, all throughout Central and South America. So now everything that you've seen going on here and what we've seen has been terrible, and thinking of it happening in the United States, that's going to be going on in other countries. And the worst part of it is it's not a humanitarian thing where they're just trying to get people, what they need, get them in asylum, get them safety. They're trying to make profit off these people and have it take as long as possible. So I kind of wanted to bring that up because I hadn't really got any attention. So
yeah, man, I guess it's interesting to hear you say that it's a bad policy, because it's supposed to be a bad policy.
I know.
It's definitely supposed to be a bad policy coming from the Trump administration. I guess anything they can do to stop migrants from coming to the border and applying for asylum. The crazy part is that, we know that most of these people are not going to be granted asylum. It wouldn't even matter if President Trump was not the president. If there was somebody else that was the president, still, most asylum seekers are not granted asylum. So really what we're talking about is having a particular system that's here that deals with these migrants, that at least brings them into the situation, brings them into the country in a humane way, processes their applications, see if they are granted or not granted, and then just deal with the effects of that. I mean, that's usually how it's been taken care of. But
they're making it out to be like there's no process at all.
Exactly. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And the other part of it is, and this is my opinion, I think that when you have people like, right wing and left wing say, hey, everybody wants to fix immigration. So, why can't these idiots in Congress just get together and fix immigration? And you say, you know what, you're right. Right wing, left wing, we disagree on a lot, but we agree we need to fix this. And then the right winger, you say, what do you, think you need to do to fix immigration? And the right winger says, we need to build a wall and make sure that no more people come in. And then the left winger is like, dude, like, are you kidding? Like, no. We need to have a path to citizenship. We need to open it up and have as many people come as possible. Let them pay taxes. Let them work here. Let them be a part of the community. You let people come, and then you have fewer people who are claiming asylum. Claiming asylum is like a desperation plea, too, for some, because they know they won't be able to be granted citizenship. So if you just made it so that people could come here and work and be prosperous, and you actually gave them a fighting chance, not to say that everybody's going to come in, but at least you can tell people, hey, there's a good chance if you can stick it out for 2 or 3 years, keep applying, you're going to work your way up the list, you're going to get in. But right now it's like people wait for how long to get in. We need all the people we can get here. So
see, that's a disingenuous type of, I guess, way to describe what it is between Democrats and Republicans. Like, everybody wants to fix immigration. Nah, not really. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Republicans will say that they want to build a wall. That's not fixing immigration. You're not even dealing with the issue of people coming to the country, because I remember in 2016 us talking about the number one way how people come into the country. And it's not through the Mexican border. It's through the air. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, most of the people that are here overstay their visas. So if that's the case, a wall is not going to do a damn thing. There's going to be instruments to get over the wall, under the wall. That does nothing. Like you said, you have to create a pathway towards citizenship. That's the only way to do it. We have we have people here, the DACA recipients that are engaged in living life to their fullest. They're, effective at, they're in school, or they have jobs, they have families.
Basically, you have to be contributing.
Yeah, they've assimilated. They know the English language.
So if it was really about proving their worth, and it was really about doing it the legal way, and proving your value to this society, if it was really about that, then the Republicans wouldn't be seeking to scrap DACA.
Yeah, we wouldn't have an argument about DACA whatsoever. DACA recipients would be we'd be like, okay, hold on, we see they're doing the right thing. They're like you said, they're doing the right thing.
They have to be on the straight and narrow more so than we have to in order to stay. They have to prove themselves. And
if anybody should become a citizen, then they should be, because they're doing it the right way, right? And they didn't even come here on their own accord. They were brought here by their families. They were kids at the time. They don't want immigration.
So they don't want immigration.
Right.
So if you're talking about the other side of that, you're talking about Democrats wanting a pathway to citizenship. That is one kind of half of it. But if we're really going to get into a comprehensive conversation about what even causes immigration in the first place, something that I don't even think Democrats like to deal with is American foreign policy, United States foreign policy. You see what I'm saying? I don't even think Democrats are willing to even go that far. So yes, they may be, I want to say further to the left. They may approach immigration in a different way as far as how they view immigrants and what contributions they can make. And, obviously they don't issue the same talking points about them. But if you're looking at the larger picture as it pertains to our foreign policy and how that contributes to the amount of people seeking asylum and how many people are trying to become citizens here, I don't even think Democrats are willing to deal with that, because that's one area that they fail in as well, foreign policy.
Well, I'll say this. So I guess most of them, they won't talk about that issue. They won't talk about foreign policy. And when you're talking about foreign policy, that also includes sanctions as well.
Yes.
So they don't talk about that. So you can't really say they're, I guess, as cruel, as inhumane, because when it comes to that foreign policy, yeah, they'll be engaged in those decisions. But when refugees are created and migrants are created and they come here, I guess they don't throw up like a Heisman to them and be like, nah, go back to where you come from. Nah, they don't put up as much resistance as Republicans do.
You know, the thing is, like, I feel like there's two things. The 9/11 bill, the funding of that got held hostage for years by Mitch McConnell and everybody like that. They hold that hostage. Now the DACA, it gets held hostage. So the Democrats, who, for all their flaws, try to have some good things on policy. And what happens is the Republicans hold them against us as bargaining chips, as hostages. And we end up treading backwards. And when we're talking about, like, the difference between causing asylum seekers through foreign policy and then being able to open up the border for opportunities, like, the other way to create immigration is to have opportunities in the country for people to come here. And if we have a successful company, that's going to cause immigration. People are going to want to be here if it's the most happening country. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. And I think we need to open up our minds to have it be less like, how do we stop people from coming here? And saying, how do we get people to come here and contribute? Because, you know, the theory of velocity of money, if you have a lot of, you know, immigrants who come here and they don't have a lot to start, they're going to be the type of people like most of us, the 99%, who live paycheck to paycheck, get their money and spend it. And that's a powerful thing. So if we're growing our country and we have, you know, good policies in place, good systems in place, and get people, you know, documented and get them going in the right direction, that's going to be a powerful thing. And I know you guys are going to want to get going, but I just had a couple of things that came up in the chat. One thing, Telebrate said, how can the U.S. put a detention center in a foreign country? Does not compute. We already have, first of all, we have military bases all around the world, and we reign supreme all around the world, wherever we want, like run gunshot or whatever. So the way that the U.S. can put detention centers or concentration camps in other countries are by having these private prison, like Core Civic and stuff like that. They're international companies. They have stockholders. They're trying to make profit. The U.S. says, hey, Mexico, we're going to let you put Core Civic down there. They're going to be your sponsor. You're going to get a southern wall where you can funnel everyone in nice and efficient, $750 a night. So every time we go to, like, put money towards stopping the flow of migration, it's going to go right into the private prisons. And then Smitty said, you know, stop ruining Latin American countries. That's not the solution. If the solution is not like letting more people in sort of thing, like letting more people in does not slow it down. But my theory just against that, which I don't think he's coming from a bad place or anything on that, but I think I talked about that, where it's not about reducing immigration. We don't need to reduce immigration. We need to embrace immigration. And I think I'll probably leave it on that. I mean, you guys have any comments?
Yeah, well, what were you talking about? Well, what you were talking about before, and kind of what you were talking about too, Mike, about the conversation not really being centered around foreign policy as well. If we're really going to talk about the situation of immigration, you have to get real, and I mean, when you get real, it gets real uncomfortable. Immigrants here, undocumented immigrants, we know that a lot of them work in American society. They contribute to the economy, yet they don't get a lot of the benefits. They get taxed, they don't get the benefits, right? They can't vote, a lot of different things, right? So they are responsible for, you know, propelling this nation forward. I mean, if you remove all of them, you will definitely see the economy slip, no doubt. So that's one end of it. So I know Republicans know that information. Again, there's many Republicans that are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. So in one sense, I don't think, you know, I think that they don't want these undocumented immigrants to gain legal status, because if you do, then that probably does mean a little bit less that the country is going to be taken in, because you're going to have to provide some type of benefits to people, just like you have here with citizens, right? So that's one. But two, on another side of it, there are a lot of white people that don't want brown people here, because it just, you know, it makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes the country feel less white. And just to put, I saw a meme on Facebook, maybe like yesterday, today. I can't remember when it was. And I usually don't like look at memes or like pay any real attention to them. But this one, it had like a line of white people, right? And it was just you saw this?
Yes, I did. Yes, I saw this one.
And so it was a line of, it was just a drawing, not real white people, but
almost like stick figures.
Yeah. But of course they were white people. So it was a line of white people. They were just white people. And then it said everything's fine. Then right down below it had nothing but white people and one brown person.
One brown figure.
Yeah, one brown figure. And then had the caption, forced diversity. And then it had, on the third line, it had nothing but white people, but 2 people of color, 2 brown people. And then it said, white genocide. And of course that does not go for all white people. A lot of people welcome diversity. Most probably white people welcome diversity. But the people that I'm talking about, the people like David Stringer in Arizona that talks about the decreased numbers of white babies being born, and is really interested in that.
And that's the problem we have in the United States and in other countries as well.
So those type of people see this immigration conversation in many different ways. They want it's not free labor, but they want these undocumented immigrants to be working, contributing to the economy, but not receiving full status as a citizen. But also they don't really want them here they don't really want them here anyways because they're brown too. And if they do get legal status, they're gonna have the ability to vote, impact change. It's an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people.
It's been made an uncomfortable topic because of how history has played out. It wouldn't be so uncomfortable if the foundations of the country were different. Yeah. And the foundations of the country obviously contributed to how this country historically, created its own policy. So based on that policy and how this country has operated, and the mindset that particular type of operation created within people, people are going to be made uncomfortable when those particular conditions start to change. I mean, it's a level of discomfort that has been developed over centuries. So the discomfort comes from them thinking that certain people should run this country and be dominant in this country. So
certain people that look a certain way.
Yeah, that's and I don't know. I mean, obviously I've experienced life as a black man. So quite possibly if I was born into a white body, a Caucasian body, I may feel the same way based on that kind of collective mindset. You see what I'm saying?
No, you wouldn't.
I said I would have. Well, I wouldn't say it's definitive. I would say I would have a high potential. I can't deny that. If I was born in a certain type of body,
you would have your same mind though. No. Yes, you would, because I've thought about this before. I came to South Carolina when I was a kid, right? And I often think about, what if I had grew up in New York City the whole time?
Yeah, but it's New York City as a black person. You got to take history into context.
But would I be different? I always thought, when I was growing up and thinking like, okay, New York City, would I grow up different? Like, would I have a kind of different attitude? Would I have a different kind of mind frame? And when I got to be an adult, I realized, nah. My accent would be a little bit different.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be in the same family. So say you wouldn't be in the same family. Your mother wouldn't be the same mother. Your history wouldn't be the same history. When I'm saying you were born as somebody else in a different body, I'm not just saying a different body. I'm talking about different body, different environment, different family, different background.
You'd have to have a different soul. You'd have to have a whole different being.
Now you're getting into a conversation.
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to have a different conversation. There's many people that have grew up in very difficult situations, racist situations, all of that. And
I'm talking about potential. I
know what you mean. I understand.
Potential. I'm talking about potential. I'm not saying it's definitive, but the chances are, if I was born to a Caucasian body in Mississippi, somebody in Mississippi had a different family, different upbringing, different background, I could possibly have those same feelings. I can possibly develop that same discomfort. I'm saying I would have more of a chance. To deny that, you can't deny that. Not to say that it's definitive,
Right, it's
because
not
obviously culture is different from region to region. But if you were born in a different body, different family background, different upbringing, being shaped by that, shaped by a certain politics, being surrounded by people with certain behaviors, certain attitudes and ideologies that you are not in control of, that you are internalizing all throughout your development as a human being, that's going to affect you.
But I can't say that though, because see, you're talking about possibilities as if like you put 4 dice in here, and what's the possibility that this comes out?
Oh,
you can't
yes.
say that with a human being. A human being
Yes.
can be anything.
No.
Yes.
Well, yes, that is true. But what plays into what that human being can be is the nurturing that they receive. That's all I'm saying.
Possibly.
Human nature is easily played, and you see religion does it to scare people, not like necessarily to divide people, but they scare people and say, if you don't come here to church and do what we say, then you're gonna go to hell. And then xenophobia means fear of the others. And you have politicians who are telling you, hey, the Mexicans are going to come, or, all these people are going to come and do things. But if, the reality is we might not all like have the same first language, but we all are still the 99%. And I think we need to wake up to that. You can think that if you're, a Trumpist and you're a poor white, and you want to look down on these people who you actually have more in common with than the people who are pulling the strings and controlling you and using you to get power. And like this whole thing of fear, we need to stop being so afraid. And, Smitty, which again, not speaking for him, but he kept going back that like he'd be down with seeing reduced immigration. We don't need reduced immigration at all. That's not the problem. We are being taught to be afraid of the others, and that's just to be divided, and we all need to come together. You might not feel too comfortable if like somebody's from Cambodia and they have an accent and stuff like, maybe you're not going to invite them over for Thanksgiving. You don't have to do that, but there's no reason to fear like our fellow man. So let's all get our act together and, raise some hell, kind of get on the same page.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate your
Good
call.
call, man.
And
Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, you guys.
Appreciate you addressing.
Take care. Have a great weekend. I'll catch up with you guys on Tuesday. I'll watch the rest of the show. Oh yeah. Hey, last thing. I wasn't joking about Mike's shirt when I said about like don't ghost us, smash the like button. I was just trying to get the crowd fired up and say like, hey, don't ghost us.
Yo, I don't even care.
Hit that like button.
That's fine.
Well, I'm not going to comment on your shirt. I mean, you can wear whatever you want. So, I mean, I didn't notice that, but I guess that was like an inside joke. So, I just wanted to let Mike know. I wasn't.
People were saying how transparent he was. That's why. Cause,
no, I got it afterwards. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I like to kind of fire people up, say, hit the like button, so we'll get the stream out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Man.
Oh, yeah, I didn't take anything from that other than you just being, silly or whatever.
Yeah, we good, man.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
Later. You too. Bye.
All right, so let's get to the next caller. 860 area code. You're on the air live.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Who is this and where are you calling from?
This is Val. I'm in Connecticut.
Val. I believe you called in before, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah. How you doing tonight?
I'm calling because I came across this bill that's going to be evidently pushed through Congress. Adam Schiff is behind it, and it's for the CIA to be able to protect themselves even after they're dead. It's to totally get around any FOIA request. They're going to say that because of national security, nobody can out any names of any CIA people even after they're dead. And it's in the New York Times and it's in Yahoo News, but I don't hear anybody talking about it.
Let's see. I haven't heard about that either.
I just wanted to bring it up, and I think people ought to be talking about it a lot. That's
Do you
all.
have a? Does it have like is the bill like? I guess
New York Times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it have a name though? Does the bill have a name?
The covert agents secrecy law. But they're saying that it's not just covert agents. They're going to consider everybody in the CIA that is in a position of power to be covered under this bill.
All right, I see something in the Washington Post about it. The intelligence.
Because under the current law, it expires after 5 years after the agent leaves their position, and this is going to cover them even after they're dead. We're not going to be able to find anything out.
This the CIA is trying to fast track through Congress a sweeping expansion of the 1982 law that criminalizes the disclosure of the identities of covert CIA agents operating abroad, and is trying to do so in a way that would directly impact press rights. Okay. House of Representatives scheduled to vote on the bill when this would have been last week though, I believe. This article was July 17th. So this would have been last week. I don't know what happened.
I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know whether it's gotten through one of the houses, whether it's gotten through both of the houses. Nobody's saying anything. It's a secrecy law.
It looks like there were a few articles about this last week, and the only one I'm seeing, I've never heard of this website, justsecurity.org. Have you ever heard that before?
Mm-mm.
This is the only one it's dated today. I don't see a vote or anything.
I saw, I mean, it's not really a new law. Like you said, it's an expansion of a law that already exists. It's like the law says that if someone reveals the identity of a covert agent to a third party, knowing that the United States has taken affirmative measures to conceal such covert agents' intelligence relationship to the United States, can get up to 10 years in prison. So it already covers CIA agents, and it doesn't exclude CIA
but
agents.
it only for 5 years after they leave their position. This one is going to cover them for life.
Yeah.
And
even
some of
after
the
they're
reading,
dead,
what I've heard people saying is that it will put any reporters in jeopardy that wants to discuss any of the operations officers, even the ones that don't go overseas. I don't know. I can't get enough information on it, so I didn't know if that was something that was on your radar or not.
Well, it said, okay, this is old too. This is July 10th. I'm not sure if this is.
Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm trying to. It's definitely. I'm not sure if it's voted on, but yeah, I'm seeing articles that go back a few months about this. Let's see.
They kept real quiet.
Now it doesn't mention a new Senate intelligence authorization bill. Now that wouldn't be Schiff though. It might well.
I don't see anything.
Will be modified so that it applies. Yeah. I mean, I see the details about it implying indefinitely, but I'm looking for the actual bill.
I haven't seen any like HR numbers that are usually associated with.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Congress's website, and I don't see anything.
No. Well, maybe somebody else will be able to find it, and
maybe it. Yeah, let me go back to that one website, the Washington Post, real quick. No, it said they were scheduled to vote on the bill last week. I wonder if Okay, hold on. Okay, so it's probably in conferences right now. It's probably like in committees.
Yeah, it's probably.
It hasn't been put up for like a debate on the full floor, I don't think.
But it is something that should be looked at. But I do wonder why. It's kind of gaining traction now, because if you look at like what's. Go ahead. What? Go ahead. You got something to say? You about to say something?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, I do wonder why it's gaining traction now, and I'm trying to wonder what the motive is, or what the catalyst for this is, other than just trying to keep certain activities by the CIA secret. I know William Barr was threatening to reveal certain CIA agents that are currently undercover overseas. Now that was for a different reason. I think that was to protect Trump. So I'm not sure if that's tied to this or not. I'm not sure, but.
So yeah, the actual bill is the Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1982. That's what it's called.
It's called what?
The Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1982.
Okay, so that's the one they want to expand.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So let's see.
All right.
Yeah, we'll keep a lookout for it. If we see anything about it, we can talk about it. But it doesn't seem like there's anything current that's being revealed. Anything since last week, at least.
All right, I'm going to let you go. I just wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
All right, Val. Thank you for calling in.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, I had not heard of this. We don't have any other calls right now. And we are running out of time, too. Puerto Rican Governor Ricardo Rosello is resigning. And I will get to that right after this call that just showed up. 903 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Yeah, this is Tony. Watches closely.
Tony, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hello. Pretty good. I was sitting there reading the chat, and the discussion over that. What is it that boycott?
BDS.
Yeah, that BDS thing.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is talking about Tulsi Gabbard not explaining why she voted the way she did. And I'm wondering, well, has anybody gave her a chance to read the new rules of the DNC that the DNC panel adopted? And I looked it up, and what I've seen, DNC panel adopts rules require the candidates that's running for president elections. And I'm thinking, dang, there's a big old part in there. To me, it says you do what we say. Can y'all pull up them rules?
Okay. Does it specifically instruct presidential candidates to vote a certain way? Is what I'm asking.
No, it don't say that. Of course, it just it in the word, and it's kind of crazy. What I see is they had to stand by all their interests, everything. The welfare and the success of just the Democratic Party of the United States.
Well,
in good faith.
What document are you talking about? Like, what specific document are you talking about?
It's the ones that's running for president, I guess, and they had to abide by a certain set of rules. And that's the ones I'm talking about. I mean, I seen part of it, and it was oh crap. Let me look at this again. Some guy or woman named Randy Weingarten tweeted it, and I just caught a glimpse of the page.
What was that name? Randy what?
Weingarten.
Randy.
Weingarten. He tweeted out, and it said, at DNC, #RBC just changed the rules to ensure run for president as Democrat. You need to be a Democrat and, and go and not go against anything they stand for, basically. And I know AIPAC has a strong hold on both parties. And to me, it's like, the way I see it is AIPAC tells them, hey, you support us no matter what, Israel, whatever Israel does. And that's what I'm concerned about. That's probably why. And I'm thinking maybe Tulsi don't want to just say it out loud, her reasoning.
I don't know. Like, I can't speculate about exactly what you're reading because I can't find it. I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Well,
yeah, that would be news to me.
Well, what I googled about the rules concerning the requiring any Democratic candidate running for president, and they had to abide by a specific, the new rules, and you can't go against anything that they, what they do, they stand for. Basically, is the way I read it. I don't know.
Well, I mean I don't know. It would kind of, it wouldn't make too much sense because there, of course, things that the I guess the heart of the Democratic Party is right now, the centrists that they advocate for, that people like Bernie Sanders absolutely does not. I could even say Elizabeth Warren and at times Kamala Harris too. So this particular resolution was only in the House, so of course they didn't vote for it. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't exactly know which. You got it?
But it's long, so it's not like I can just. There's one document that I came across. It was regulations of the Rules and Bylaws Committee for the 2020 Democratic National Convention. Doesn't say for Democratic candidates. That's this 28-page document, so it's not like I can just gloss over it here. Yeah, it's not something I can do on air in an efficient fashion. It was drafted on December 1st, 2018, so about 7, 8 months ago.
Yeah. It said, I'm trying to find the date of this article. It was the article was June 8th. Damn, 18? That's way back then. I just now seen how old it was. Good Lord. But it just showed that the Democratic National Committee adopted a new rule on Friday aimed at keeping outsider candidates like Bernie Sanders.
You're probably talking about, I just found the Hill article that has...
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. That sounds like what you're referencing. It's around the same time, June of last year. It says DNC panel drops rule requiring candidates to serve as Democrat.
Right.
I don't see where it actually says anything about aligning on specific issues.
Yeah, like voting a certain
way. I think that just says you have to register as a Democrat and push democratic values. I don't know how. I mean, I guess you could go as far as saying that you have to vote the party line each time, but that's never been the case.
Yeah, that's never been the case.
Yeah, it just kind of threw me off. Had me thinking, what the hell? because I noticed, I noticed somebody else talking about it, and I thought, damn, I need to look that up. And I was sitting there trying to figure it out, and that's the first thing that came up, whenever I was Googling everything.
Well, we'll look to see if there's something there. I know we're running out of time, and you're probably gonna get cut off in a couple seconds. So
yeah, I appreciate you answering my call.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, just cut off. I think I'm on the. Somebody in the chat said Randy Wine. Actually spelled it out. What's her name? Randy Weingarten. So I'm trying to see if I can see that particular tweet.
Well, let's deal with it from how Tony presented it. Like, if that is the case, because it's not definitive, but he was throwing that out there as a possible reason as to why she voted that way. But I think Tulsi Gabbard is outspoken enough to elaborate. And if that was the reason, she's bold enough to state that as a reason to kind of throw it back in the face of the DNC. If that is essentially a DNC rule, and expose it. She would say, yeah, I voted this way, but I disagree with it. It's just an obligation that I have to be a part of the Democratic Party or to run as a Democratic Party candidate, and be very clear upon that. Otherwise, people are going to think that that is the way you were voting because you agree with it. And it has the potential to come back and bite you in the ass, especially if you did not explain yourself at the beginning. So even if that is the case, even if she is driven to vote a certain way because of DNC rules, then if you don't explain it at the time, then people are going to think that you agree with your vote.
Yeah.
People will think you're fully invested in your vote, because when the question comes up later, is she going to say, well, I had to vote that way because of the DNC? That's still going to look weak. And then, like I said, Tulsi is, again, she wasn't a candidate back then when she stepped down, on Bernie's behalf because of how DNC was treating Bernie. She wasn't a presidential candidate then. So I guess how she chooses to engage with the DNC may be different based on that. But I don't know. There's still problems that come about even if that's a rule, and that's the reason why she was voting that way. There's still consequences to that that she would have to deal with and explain. So at some point, she's going to have to offer an explanation, whether it be now or later.
Yeah. Well, I can't find it.
Yeah, and again, the document that might have the relevant information I just downloaded is a 28-page PDF. So it's not like I can 28 page. I just downloaded it. It's I'm
not getting through that right
now.
No,
definitely not getting through that. So I mean, I can't. There's no way I'm gonna just skim through that and just find the exact rule that requires a Democratic candidate.
All right.
Or a Democratic member of Democratic Party, or somebody serving as a Democratic representative, which she has before she became a candidate. She was. So we'll just look into that.
Puerto Rican Governor Ricardo Rossello, he's stepping down. I think it's effective August 2nd, if I read it right. He's stepping down amid many protests, a lot of backlash because of Rossello's comments that he made. I believe in like a chat forum, like a group, they were exposed how he was mocking and making fun of the Hurricane Maria victims, making homophobic and misogynist type of comments, sexist comments, whatever. What's interesting to me though, man, is that those people rose up and got him out of there. I'm just saying, it wasn't even about partisanship at that point. It wasn't even about partisanship. It was like, this dude can't represent us.
This dude can't represent us. Well, easy as that.
Easy as that, man. It's happened before in other countries too. South Korea.
And then it happened remember in Italy recently?
Yep. But damn, United States. Can't get around partisanship, man. Just can't do it, man. The Justice Secretary, reportedly, she's going to be taking over as governor. Wanda Vasquez Garced. Reportedly, she's going to assume the role of governor. So, I don't know what kind of public support she does or does not have. That I do not know. Yeah, I don't know about that. But that is interesting. An incident happens where it's clearly offensive to the people of Puerto Rico. And they're like,
and whether this leader has the mental capacity to represent them comes into question. They are like, hold up, we need to holla at this dude.
Yeah.
We need to holla at this dude.
We're about to go into the streets. You about to get up out of here.
Yes.
And he was refusing to step down. And then that pressure just kept coming. Just kept coming. The United States is something else, boy. The United States is something else, man. Doesn't matter what you do. As a president. And that's what was the guy? Sensenbrenner. That's what he was saying. Jim Sensenbrenner. Doesn't matter. He's a president. You can't indict him. So why are you investigating him then? You should have left him alone. He's a president.
Let's see. Why would that just apply to a president, right? You can extend that to anybody who's in an elected position.
Yeah.
Why would that just apply to a president? If Sensenbrenner is going to apply that to the president of the United States, then you can apply that to any elected official, or more important elected officials like mayors or governors, or a senator. Why just apply to the president, right?
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for you tonight. Definitely want to give a shout out to our callers tonight, and that's Ben, Val, and Tony. Appreciate you calling in. Slower night for the phone. Seems like we have more callers than that.
Yeah.
Usually, but that's all right. It's okay. Maybe people not feeling up to it tonight. It's all right. Come back next week with with some, reinvigorated, some energy, whatever. Definitely want to get to the super chat because I never forget. I don't know. Somebody said don't forget the super chat last time. We'll never forget. Gear Randon once again hitting us with some cheese.
Appreciate that.
Yo, what's the updated word for money now? Is there a new term? Because we used to say cheddar. You could say Skrilla. You could say bread. Ends.
Or guap.
Guap, yeah. Maybe guap is guap is
that's old.
But it's still newer. That's newer.
A clip. Money clip.
Wonder if this. I'm gonna have to ask my niece.
Racks, stacks.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Racks on racks on racks. I don't know. I don't know what they say now. Man.
I have no idea.
I don't know what they saying now, man.
I'm gonna have to get at her. Jay Scott.
Benjis.
Benjis.
Benjis. It's like Benjamins.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just never heard it.
Yeah, I've heard Benjis.
All right, Jay Scott. This is what I was laughing at earlier too, but it was while you was talking. Had to settle it down. He said, "I just ordered an I Love Tulsi male thong off Nico's website."
Bruh. See? We're gonna put you on blast. You're gonna take a screen cap of that. I'm gonna send it to Nico and see what he got to say. He likes making long videos. Or he drags out his videos, boy. He'll take one little issue. I don't care for it. He'll make a 30-minute video about you. He'll draw out a topic, boy.
Oh boy. All right. Ben, who dislikes the stream? Dare you to call Mike and Will. So maybe somebody disliked it? Somebody disliked it?
I don't really care.
I don't care either.
I don't be looking at dislikes and likes, though. I really don't care. I'm like,
I mean, it's good to have them. No, we want to encourage them. But y'all don't actually.
I don't be like, who disliking this video? I want to see. Yeah. I want to see a record. I want to be like Twitter, where I see liking and disliking shit.
Ben again, like the stream. Let's get to 100. No doubt, Ben. Jay Scott. This must be for you right here. I think this one for you. Against death penalty, but pro chemical castration.
That's a false dichotomy. I don't know if you want to go with that argument. I see where you're going, but I don't know if you really want to go with that argument because we did juxtapose two different systems in place when it came to chemical castration, and we thought the situation in Alabama would lead to abuse because it wasn't definitive. Will went on to cite a case in California and cite case law in California having to do with castration, and theirs is a little more organized, and it allows this person that could be subject to that punishment as a choice.
Yeah. That might have been Texas.
Might have been Texas.
But there were other states.
There was like seven other states that already have this. Yeah. That involves some sort of penalty process, I guess, when they are classified as sexual deviants and pose a threat, I guess, to the public. The reason why I call it a false dichotomy is kind of suggesting that, like, hey, you're against concentration camps, but you're okay with prisons existing. You see what I'm saying? Or, like, I agree that prisons have to exist and they're part of our system because criminals exist, but I don't like private prisons. I can be for general detention centers, but at the same time being against private prisons. I can be for gun ownership and both be for gun regulation at the same time.
True.
Or, like, I'm against the 2,000-mile long, 30-foot high wall along the southern border. Doesn't mean I have to be against all walls.
True.
You see what I'm saying? So that, to me, that's a false dichotomy. Whatever, yeah. And now, if you're talking about, like, the state having the authority or the grounds to issue some sort of punishment in the form of, let's say, chemicals, then I guess you would have to have a problem with like how the state handles people who are suffering from mental illness and when they get admitted, because who decides what kind of chemicals that they can get? Or let's say when you go to the hospital, and you're not a criminal, and let's say you're suffering from something and they say you're suffering some sort of psychotic break or you're suffering from the effects of something, what happens? What does that hospital give you? That hospital gives you chemicals. Now, hospitals are mostly private, but if you're talking about the state, and when they administer chemicals to someone as a sedative, they're doing that because that they have the authority to, and that person is exhibiting some sort of a psychotic break. If you're going to be against anything involving chemicals, and the state having the authority to administer chemicals to some people, then you have to be against all of them, right? You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to be against any kind of chemical castration punishment, then you have to be against chemical administration when it has to do with the state at any other level as well. So what's your opinion on that, if you don't mind me asking, if you're still watching the show, Jay? What's your opinion on the state administering chemicals to sedate somebody when they've been admitted? And usually the state has regulations on that.
All right. Who else? Mandy Sadowski. Love you guys. Finally started supporting your Patreon. Keep it up. What? Got a new patron, and Mandy Sadowski, who is a regular contributor in the Super Chat. I just see it right here in the, in email. I must not be getting these notifications because Mandy became a patron on July 16th.
Whoa.
That was last week. Must not be getting the notifications because usually, we like to, say it on the next show when we find out we have a new patron. Definitely like to give a shout out to you. So definitely a shout out goes to Mandy. We appreciate your support, no doubt. Always appreciate that you're always here too when the live stream is on and you commenting. Love your support. Appreciate it so much. And also, while I'm at it, I have to give a shout out to Sharon as well, because Sharon edited her pledge. She's contributing even more money to us each and every month. So that was last week too. that was July 18th.
Well, dang.
Yeah. So we just missed what happened last week. I'm seeing it. Yeah, nothing happened this week. So
unless we get notifications for it next week.
I'm saying, yeah, I don't know what happened, but definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. What else? Yeah, we have another one. Carne Verde. I still use ends.
Oh.
LOL.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
still use them sometimes. I might pull it.
I think I used it one time during the video because I said something about like my ends got no ends.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you said. No, I can't remember how you.
I don't even know.
My ends are running.
Running out of ends. I said something like that.
No, my ends are coming to an end. That's what you said. Yeah, my ends are coming to an end. That's what I'm saying. I might throw it out, once in a while, but cash isn't really. I mean, I guess it.
Cash is just so mainstream, though.
Yeah.
You got any cash on you?
Greenbacks?
No.
You ain't never? No?
Coin.
I never said coin.
I never said it. I'm just saying that's how.
Got some change?
Change. But it doesn't actually mean change.
Yeah, it means money.
It means money.
Yeah. You got a little bit of change.
Paper.
Yeah, no doubt.
Paper.
Yeah, I probably still use paper. I probably use bread more than anything else.
Bread.
I think I probably use bread more than anything else. But I don't think I use. I think I just say money now. Damn, I think we're getting old.
You're getting old.
Because I think I just say money. Yeah, I think that stopped. I think I just say money. All right. No more super chats to go into. But yeah, man, we're gonna be out of here next week. I was thinking, man. I don't know about. I mean, because like you said, next week is gonna be the debate.
Oh yeah, next week got the debates going on. Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday.
So
no,
Tuesday and Wednesday. So
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Debates are Tuesday and Wednesday. So people still watching the stream right now. We're going to kind of adjust.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see if we do the show on Tuesday though, because again, we would only be able to do it maybe about 45 minutes or something like that.
If we don't take calls, we would do it for about an hour. Because the debate starts at 8, and our show normally starts at 7. And I think 6 probably be a little too early. Wouldn't have as big of an audience, but it would mean that we'd have to cut an hour off the show and automatically cut off calls and just go to, because we got to watch the debate.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then we're not going to wait until Thursday to cover the debates on Tuesday.
True.
So we're going to do a show on Wednesday. Same time, 7.
Yeah. On
Friday we did it at 6.
It was like 6:15, something like that.
It was like 6:30, 6:15, but that was Friday, so there's no telling. There's no telling. But either way, we're gonna do a show Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll do it Wednesday.
So and then, but we're gonna have to. Will we have to cut that show off because there's another debate at 8? And we don't know how much we have to cover.
I forgot.
Yeah, because since we're covering the debate, or our debate reaction show is going to be on Wednesday, we either might have to start it earlier to have enough time to deal with all the
Wednesday
content.
Starts at 8 too?
I think the Wednesday's debate starts at 8 too. And
let me make sure.
There's no way to predict how much we'll have to cover, and I don't want that to be an issue.
The last time we did this
took like 5 hours.
I mean,
I know.
4 hours. The first show that we did, the first night we covered, I think it was 2.5 maybe. I think it was 2 actually. But we did just straight.
It was just straight.
There was no phone calls.
Yeah, it was no phone calls, and that was the only thing we covered was the debate.
And it was because the debate was coming on after
after that.
Was it? But yeah, because it came on at 9 o'clock. It came on at 9, so we went from 7 to like 9:05 or something like that. Remember?
That's right.
Because we ended a little bit late.
And then the next debate was Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we did the show on Friday.
Right.
And that was a long show.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna have to iron some things out because if we do cover Tuesday's debate on Wednesday night, we'd have to ensure we have enough time to get through all of our debate responses before the next debate starts. And there's no way we're gonna. There's not gonna be
8 p.m. to 10 both nights.
There's not gonna be less than 2 hours of things to talk about. I can probably
We would have to
guarantee
start it at 6.
There's not going to be less than 2 hours of commentary. Especially with 8,000 candidates.
So Wednesday would have to be 6 o'clock.
Wednesday would have to be 6 o'clock in order to fit it in.
And then Thursday could be regular time.
Yeah. Thursday can be regular time.
All right. Yeah, that's probably what we'll do. Yeah. We'll definitely put it out there though. We're telling you that now, but we'll put it on Twitter, YouTube, to make sure that it's you're ready for that. Ben out front. What motivated you guys to start LTMB and how long? What do you mean how long? What do you mean how long, Ben? The idea for this came years before we actually did it.
We talked about it a lot. It was just one of those things where it was like, hey, we talk about political issues all the time. Me and him, we were just like going out all the time. I mean, like after high school, it was like probably years. We would just go out. We were just going out all the time. And then usually we would end up talking politics.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? For hours. You know what I'm saying? Hours. Like we would be standing in the parking lot or something.
Parking lot pimping, boy.
Yeah, parking lot pimping. And then we'd be talking about politics. And then we were like, hey, I wonder how it would look in front of a camera. And it kind of just, the idea got thrown out there, but we never really.
Actually, I don't know if we actually really went to camera first, because remember we did articles at first.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah,
we were just trying to. Really, the first idea was website. That was the first idea. Let's get a website together, and it wasn't just gonna be political content either. It was like gonna be just like other type of content as well. It could be comedic. It was just gonna be a lot of different content, not just political. And then, late 2015. That's when we started. Late 2015. No. We
didn't start like doing videos until late 2015.
I'm talking about the actual idea of what we wanted to do. Probably came early 2015, maybe even late 2014. But remember, we didn't have a name. Do you know how long it took to come up with a? We were stuck. We were stuck for months and months and months, and then we finally put it together, and we started writing articles for our website, which we never promote because we don't. Damn, I can't.
I don't even know if I even have password anymore to get up in that bitch.
That has not been updated for many a month. But yeah, we started writing articles. They're still out there too. LetTheMadnessBegin.com.
Yeah, you'll see. It'll be like some 5 years old articles.
Yeah.
Not 5 years old, but
But yeah, that was late 2015, and then early 2016, like February, is when we started actually making video content.
And it was not live video content.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was just recorded.
Recorded and uploaded, post-production type uploads.
We didn't do the live until August
2017.
Yeah.
So we were doing live for 2 years. It doesn't feel like it.
Nah, it doesn't, man.
Yeah. Different, man. If you go look at our old videos, it probably has a different feel to it.
Yeah,
that's a much different feel.
A little bit.
Much different feel.
Yeah.
Hopefully those videos are buried in our video library. My God.
Yeah, some of them.
I'm like, whoa, this is whack.
Yeah, but like I said, we just, we just wanted to do something. I thought we could do something. And then, especially given the time, late 2015, that was when, there were presidential debates.
Yeah, and the Bernie Sanders
campaign. It was timely. Of course, that was the focus for a lot of different people. So we just thought we had something to say, about not just about,
and that's the thing,
the presidential race, but
about other topics as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, it was more or less kind of like spitballing. Like, man, we just putting ourselves out here. Yep. You know what I'm saying? We going to see what people have to say about our opinions and how people respond. So it was just, we didn't know what we was getting into. We were just like, let's put the stuff out there and see how people respond to it.
This has all been, learning on the spot. you know, every single part of it. Neither one of us had any background in politics, really, like any official capacity.
Broadcast journalism.
Media, editing videos,
media,
writing articles. I mean, I wrote some essays.
Oh, true that. No, I was in school. Oh yeah, I was good at that. Yeah. Like, but that's easy, especially if you just get the format down. You don't gotta be really good to pass English. No. Into like.
Man, I used to do that on the last night that it was due. I'd stay up like all night.
I think every single paper that I wrote was done.
Put it together.
Done the last night, and it was being, I guess. I don't know, like the finishing touches were being made the morning of.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I did that every single time, man. Everything. Sometimes I remember senior year we had we had a project for English, but we had to have a visual aid, and I put it together at school. I had the paper, but I put that visual aid together at school, and I had Juan help me too. Yeah, he had. It was ridiculous.
Dang.
Got a good grade on it too, boy. I was lucky. I had. You remember there were 3 periods for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I had
the middle period.
So I presented like at the end. So I went to lunch and put it together. Boy. But yeah, man. Like I said, we didn't have really any experience with this. We was, just 2 regular people, just seeing things as they are. That's it. Trying to be objective. That's it. That's it, man. And here we are.
That's the story behind
Big and
LTMB.
famous.
Yeah, and we've pretty much known each other for damn near 75% of the time we've been on this planet.
Yep.
So that's another thing too.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how LTMB got started. LTMB got started kind of as an offshoot of our friendship, really, and that's just talking about things.
Instead of being in the parking lot, we were here.
It's basically what it is. This is our parking lot.
Yeah, this is parking lot.
This is parking lot pimping.
Yeah, this is that. Yeah, because man, doesn't matter, especially on Saturday nights. Because you remember Saturday nights the clubs ended at 2.
Yo, that's why South Carolina is so whack, yo. Like you had to like rush out to have fun because you knew it got cut off. Like when we went other cities like Miami, you can like get off work at like 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. and know you still gonna have a good time because everything is still popping until like you go to the club at 2. When we went down there, we was like, hold up a second.
It was a Sunday night.
It was Sunday night. Like, what is this? Why are these people partying so hard? Like here.
Yeah,
everything just like goes dead at 2:30. Everything gets shut down.
But see, then we would have our conversations.
Then we leave the club, conversations.
Be in the parking lot or at
the
IHOP.
Yeah, at the IHOP. That's where we will always go.
Yep. Yeah, man, that was the life, man. But yeah, I think somebody said we profiling now. Yeah, that's our profile, man. Yeah, that's the background to LTMB, man. We shared that before, though.
Yeah.
Not for everybody.
Not for everybody. It's not like we just kind of. It's not like we regularly go into like our background and how it started.
But it makes sense. That, I mean, we do have new viewers, so not everybody knows how long we've been doing this, and
what I have noticed is, and what I expected would happen is as this channel progressed, viewership and its makeup would definitely change. And that's expected. Like when we first started the channel, living in this kind of false dichotomy of political beliefs and political affiliation, party affiliation, ideological affiliation. Like simply because we were covering Hillary Clinton, in a certain way, we attracted a lot of Trump supporters. Like people who assume we were Trump supporters. Yep. When we put out the video about Obama, our disagreements about Obama. A flood of conservatives acting like, oh yeah, we need people like you. Like, but they were talking about a Republican Party. Yeah, they disagree with Obama. Like they thought we were like conservative simply because we had a disagreement with Obama. And I was like, no. So we had some interest in our direction because we criticized Democrats and criticized Hillary. So automatically, like people tuned into that because that's all they wanted to hear.
Even though we would denounce Trump.
Yeah.
Even though we would do that. I saw recently on YouTube, and I think I've seen this before too, but there were some people commenting on recent videos that we posted on YouTube saying, yeah, thanks YouTube for subscribing me to this channel.
I'm like,
nah,
YouTube doesn't subscribe you.
YouTube ain't
I
do
saw that. I was like, you did that probably because you saw a couple of videos where he was shitting on Hillary Clinton. Oh, I like these guys. I like these guys. Subscribe. Notification. Ding, ding, ding. Bell. Get out of here.
And then we say something about Trump and it's like, well, how did this get in my... Why is this in my feed? I didn't subscribe to this junk. Yeah, you did.
And I'm like...
Yeah,
and so... and I think a lot of times, like, you know, even those who do have a more balanced perspective on politics, don't practice partisan politics, you know, may think, I don't know, we're a little off, or they may distance themselves from this channel because we don't unconditionally criticize certain members of the Democratic Party or the Democratic Party in general.
So we don't just, I guess,
knee-jerkingly offer some counter-narrative or be contrarian simply to be that way because we don't like the Democratic Party.
Or I was going to say, or we're not a campaign arm.
Or not a campaign
one
arm.
particular candidate. Even Bernie Sanders. Like definitely we support Bernie Sanders, but we're not a campaign arm.
We're definitely not. Definitely not.
We don't campaign arm.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we do. I mean, if we have criticism of Bernie Sanders, we have the ability to say it. We've said it before. We said in 2016 some things that he said, especially after he lost the nomination. Some things that he said didn't really take very favorably. I said it. Doesn't matter. That's what we do.
Yeah, so I think it works the other way around too. It's not like we're going to be ride or die for a particular candidate unconditionally. Yes, we're going to have our favorite candidates because they represent the platform that we like. And if they stop, pushing that platform, it's over for them.
If they say something worth criticizing,
not only do we not like pick somebody to be ride or die for, we don't pick some person to be the utmost representation of evil as well. So it works the same way. It works on the other side too. And I think sometimes people don't like us for that because, like, when it comes to a particular candidate, we didn't put her up on this pedestal of evil. Like she is like
evil personified.
Evil personified. And I'm just like, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, I don't have to do that. Like, it's like, where politics wouldn't be like it is if it wasn't for Hillary Clinton. I'm like, nah. And like, we don't attach any death that occurs in Arkansas to her.
That's funny, man.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, like, stop being irrational. And so if we I almost felt that if we didn't like attack her endlessly, and that we didn't, like, we weren't keeping our progressive credentials
we became
up to date. We became hillbots. I'm like, bro,
that's funny, man.
I'm like, come on,
that's funny. If we were a campaign arm of somebody, or if even if it wasn't somebody who was running for president, but if we just tied ourselves to like one figure, it would be much more financially beneficial. It would be a lot more financially beneficial. Because there is a lot of fandom out there, a lot of people that appreciate positive coverage towards one particular individual.
And there's people who understand that model is successful and have run with it. Again, I mean, I'm not going to name any particular person. Jay Goodman. I'm not going to name a particular person, but there's a lot out there, who kind of their commentary and their channel has kind of taken a hard turn.
Hard.
Like you were actually covering political issues, topics. You're actually a journalist, and now you just become pretty much a sycophant, and your entire channel has become protect this one person at all costs. Every single video is protectionist video. This person is flawless.
Or
everyone else
attack of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, or an attack. Yeah, I'm like, man, you're not practicing journalism anymore, man. You're not even honest anymore. Like to AJ Goodman, like Trump, like this mug is like essentially drinking Trump's bathwater. Every upload. It's basically
everything is framed as being positive.
Everything Trump does is positive, and every attack on him is unwarranted, no matter where it's coming from. Every single attack is becoming unwarranted, and it's people like that who will throw around the phrase TDS. Trump derangement syndrome. Like, unironically, I'm like, who's really deranged here?
Watch for the comeback, though.
Oh, no, they got to come back.
Watch for the comeback, because they're going to try to slide back in and try to...
Somebody talking about some orange water. Damn.
That's
that Fanta. That Fanta water.
But they are going to try to slide back in and try to reclaim progressivism or something. We're going to see it. We're going to see it. We're going to see it. But anyway, that's enough for tonight. It's Thursday. Weekend's coming. You know what we do. We don't speculate about what's coming because we have no idea.
I don't know what's going on. I'm probably going to be working anyway.
I think we might go see...
Lion King?
Yeah, we might go see that.
I heard people were disappointed, but, you know, most of the disappointments are going to probably surround it not being like the old Lion King. And unfortunately,
you gotta compare it to the old
you
one,
can't.
of course.
Unfortunately, you can't compare a live action to the real one because you can personify, you know, these figures easier through cartoons. You can do things in cartoons that you cannot do in live action. So I think people's expectations were a little bit unrealistic. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see how it is. I don't know. I really didn't hear any feedback on it whatsoever.
I've heard people saying it's whack.
Really?
Yeah, but I've heard other people say it's good, but it's based on not their expectations of it being like the old. So it depends on how you go into it as well.
I just want the kids to stay in their seats, and because last time we went to go see Aladdin, and they got up about every like 2-3 minutes.
So mostly it's not even about whether the movie is good or not. It's whether the damn kids are well behaved.
Yes. Just stay in your seats, man, and don't spill the popcorn all over the place. If you could do that, I think I'll have an okay time.
LOL, do white people play the main character? That's funny.
All right, man. We're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
We appreciate everybody along with us for this ride tonight, Tuesday. Hope you come back 7 o'clock Eastern Standard. No. Hold on. Is that right? Yeah. Tuesday, right? Yeah, 7.
We might start early. Well, we're gonna start early or what?
I have no idea. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Depends on how the wind blows.
Yeah, because the debate is at 8, right?
Yeah.
We'll let you know. Twitter, YouTube, we'll let you know what we're
It
doing.
might be an abbreviated show because we're doing an extra show Wednesday. So
yeah,
still want to get out there and do our thing for a little bit at least.
But all right, everybody, peace out. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. All right.